Right, people. If I get lost, I get lost. It is what it is. We
Let's do
started.
it.
Let's start.
Hello,
Hello.
hello, what's up, bro?
Hey, it's the What's Up Bro podcast. We talk movies, sports, TV shows, pop culture, and it's funny, motherfuckers. With Nery signs. I'm like, what? How can this... They have Photoshop. Photoshop exists when this artist rendition was done. How the fuck is this not cooler looking than a sketch that looks like it was done by a hillbilly off the side of the road? What the fuck are we talking? Why is this a thing?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Steph, Uni Mayor Senior.
Yeah, I don't have to look for you.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah!
And Mike Markadal.
I'm just glad I like vanilla, boring sex like this. I'm glad that the sex I enjoy won't get me killed.
That's how winning is done.
Hey, I'm Dave Chappelle, and this is What's Up, Bro.
All right, and we're live. Welcome to the What's Up to the Movie Bro. I was gonna say What's Up. It is actually both. Welcome to the What's Up Bro Movie Bros collaboration.
It's a crossover special.
We do this. Yeah, it's a crossover special. We do this every year. Woo Bro has done it. This is the 10th annual top 10 movies of the year episode. We do every year, obviously, hence the every year part. But we are this year because we now have a movie specific podcast. This is like the handing of the torch. So after this year, the top 10 will be on Movie Bros. I am Nery Science. With me, as been for many times throughout these episodes, is Mike Mercadal.
What's up, bro?
And we have, for those Woo Bro listeners who are not familiar with the Movie Bros panel, me, Hilda. This is Hilda.
Hello, friends.
And Chad.
Hey, guys.
Which is his real name, by the way. He asked me the other day, like, did you just call him a Chad because he's white? I'm like, what? No, that's his actual name. That's what? Anyways, thank you guys for checking us out. I am, again, on a cruise ship, so if I cut out, I apologize. But we're going to do this. For those of you who've listened to these episodes in the past, this is very much geek more stuff. We're going to go around the horn, around the table from 10 down to 1. If somebody has a movie, if Mike has a movie, ABC movie at number 10, and I have that same movie at number 8, not whatever, at a higher ranking, we just say table before they get into the description of it. And then we talk about it when that person who has it higher gets there, when we get there. All right. Does that make sense?
And
I don't know.
And continuing. So, right. So like, let's say I say a movie and Hilda has it. When it comes back around, we just keep saying table until we get to the highest one.
Right. So if Mike has ABC at 10 and Chad has it at 7, but I have it at 2, we won't talk about it till I get to 2.
Till it's a 2.
Table.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And then at the end, we'll have one massive top 10 list of the picks of all of our picks. The ones that were mentioned the most get the highest ranking on the list.
Okay.
All right. So we got like a little game within the game here.
Yep, that's what we do here at Geek Bro Studios. Games within games. Let's do this.
Look at us, guys. We
Games
can
on games.
stand back together today.
Yeah.
I miss you guys.
All right, so let's start off. Number 10. These are movies that came out in 2022. My only rule for myself is always, is it eligible to be nominated for an Oscar? That's it. Like, people are like, what if it was released internationally in 2023, but domestically and vice versa? Like, is it able to be nominated? That's my rule for myself, because it gets release dates get very tricky nowadays. So I always just go with, is it eligible for an Oscar? If it is, not that any of my movies will be nominated for Oscars. Not the Academy ever even knows about these movies, but that's how I look at it. So let's start off with Mike. Mike, number 10. Give me your number 10, bro.
Well, my list, I decided a similar concept. It was just like I had to have seen it, and I had to have I didn't have to have seen it in a theater. But that does change like some of these movies.
Slow down. You had to have seen it. Oh shit! That's gonna change
Yes,
my list.
I had to. You had to have seen. I had to have seen it. It doesn't matter in a theater or not. And then if it was even, and I'm not excluding streaming services or anything like that. I picked my qualifying is it was either really, really good, really, really enjoyed it, or both. So like that was some of these movies were really, really good, but were like heavy. Like my number 10, The Whale. Did anybody else see The Whale?
No, I talked about this. I talked about this on an episode of Woobro when I did it with Missy a few weeks ago. The Whales is like I really want to see it, but I know I'm not gonna be able to handle it because of someone who's dealt with weight issues, and
trust me,
I don't know if I'm ready to watch somebody go through that. So because I've been through that, so
it was definitely okay. This is like one of the best movies I've ever seen that I will never see again.
Oh,
like I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like you're like, this
absolutely
was amazing. And I don't want to think about it. I can't like it was like it was like Requiem for a Dream or those movies where you just feel like fucking heavy afterwards.
Heavy.
Yeah.
And I cannot
I felt that way about A Star is Born with Lady Gaga. I was like, this movie's amazing and I never want to watch it again. And I hate it.
It was the Brent Renaissance. He was fucking incredible. Like as a performance, it was insanely good. Like, and Hades Sink was insanely good in it, and it was just so well written and put together. Like, you know how when you're watching a movie and you start to like pick apart, like, why is this there? There was almost a mystery element to it. It all takes place in what feels like one room. So it didn't feel like, but it was like engaging because you're like, what? You know, like what? Give me the details. Yeah. Like the way the story is told, it keeps you interested, like as to motivations and character development and all this stuff just straight up through the writing and the screen. Like it deserves all of the attention it's getting because as a performance and not just Brendan Fraser's performance, but like everyone's performance in that movie is bonkers good, like super, super engaging. And then it's like afterwards, it's like, well, amazing, and I need to watch like some cartoons or some sort of palate cleanser because it stuck with me. Also, someone who has dealt with weight issues, that it's like, oh my god, and it didn't. A lot of people are saying like, why wouldn't they have gotten an actor of size to play the role, and they give it to Brendan Fraser, who's wearing a fat suit. And it's more than just a fat suit because there was some special effects involved, but I don't like it needed to be done this way. I don't think there was another way to have done it. And because I didn't think about it while I was watching it at all. Like this guy is in a suit. It was Brendan Fraser portraying like this incredibly damaged man in the most heartbreaking way. And it was fucking great. And moving on, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So. The Whale, just a quick note, but The Whale and The Banshees of Inisherin are two movies that I didn't get to watch, but I'm dying to watch them. You know, they're on my list. And so I'm happy that you mentioned it, Mike, because it is on one of those like, oh, I regret not watching that before this podcast, right?
Same.
It's one of those where I don't want to make it sound like you want to, like you're going to be like traumatized afterwards, but it is one of those movies that it's not like, hey, let's sit down and watch a movie. Like you have to be ready for it. You know, like you have to be ready. It's like, it's definitely one of those movies when if you're never going to see it on, you know, the remote droppers, Nery, you know how we always talk about that. Yeah. It's not that. It is 100% not that. It is.
Well, you know,
go
oddly enough, so those kind of movies that are very heavy for me, like I talked about A Star is Born a couple years ago. I feel the same way with Passion of the Christ, which I feel is a phenomenal movie as far as you take away the the religious thing of it, but it's just a really well made movie. But because I believe in the topic, the theme, it's very difficult for me to watch. I've only seen it one time, so therefore, it fell into that category. It's like it's a really well made movie, but it's because it's so heavy to me. Same thing goes for Prisoners, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, where they kidnap his kids. That because I have young kids and specifically daughters, which they kidnap his daughters in the movie, so I can't watch that movie for the like. There's very specific, personalized. Like I can't watch these. Nothing against the movies, but I found the other day on a cruise ship, so they have they play movie. There's a channel where they just play movies, and the channel is called Now and Then, and they'll play like it's kind of like Movie Bros in a sense, like just they'll randomize a movie that came out maybe 2 years ago, and then they'll play a movie that came out in like 1940. So like I saw Heaven Can Wait the other day. Not the Warren Beatty one, by the way. Yeah, the original one. And I was like, oh, okay. I saw the original Planet of the Apes, and then right after that, they played Men that came out in 2022, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is a weird. Anyways, my whole point is that when it comes on TV, so Passion of the Christ came out, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it, but it was not like I wouldn't turn it on personally, but if it's on, I guess that's the only way it's gonna happen, because I'm not gonna turn it on. So
yeah, right. It's not my choice. I'm not choosing this,
but it's a heavy. These are topics, and these are heavy movies, and
they
I'm
can
usually
be
okay with
heavy.
certain things. I think I'm just very what's the word I'm looking for? Where it just if I can relate to something, it makes it more difficult for me to get to that, be able to watch it for entertainment.
Yeah, the one for me was Between Two Lighthouses, at least recently. I'm sure there's others in the past.
Sure.
But Between Two Lighthouses, I think it sat on my shelf because I rented it from Netflix when they were still doing the discs for like 4 months. Like I just let it sit there because I was like, I know I want to see this. It's got Michael Fassbender, so I'm automatically on board. But it's a heavy ass movie. So.
Yeah, this one, The Whale, was really, really heavy, and it's worth a watch though if you want to see an amazing performance. But if you're not, like, it's definitely not for you. You have to plan to see it. With that said, also I think that since this is a top 10 list, if we spend this much time on each movie, I didn't mean for it to take up all this time. We're gonna be here for like 4 hours.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring up The Whale as like the heavy and the heavy performance, incredible, like deserves all the awards it's gonna get. And Brendan Fraser is a fucking masterclass acting performance.
I mean, I could tell from watching George of the Jungle, I knew this guy had an Oscar,
right?
Yeah.
This
guy had skills.
Hilda, what's your number 10?
So my criteria it's pretty similar to Mike's. It's one, I had to have seen it, right? Let's just start there. And just did I enjoy it? Did it make me laugh or cry, or did I just like it? And some of them on my list are not that deep. They're just, I enjoyed them. And my number 10 kind of falls into that category. It's not that deep. But my number 10 was The Batman, and it totally just falls into my my table. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Table for Chad. Yeah. But Chad's mic is a little far away, so it might not have.
Hold on.
Oh, table for Chad. Okay.
Yes, table for me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was trying not to run right over Hilda.
Yeah, no, it's my number 10. It just,
No, we wait until it comes up on Chad's list. Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you that table means stop talking.
Yeah, table means timeout.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Table for me.
Yeah,
table
for you,
so,
right?
Yeah, my number 10 is The Batman.
It means your pick is put on the table, and we'll pick it up later.
Excellent. Okay.
Chad, what's your number 10?
Again, same criteria. Had to have seen it. Didn't. Certainly, none of mine are going to end up on Oscar lists anytime soon. Except maybe one. I can see that maybe doing it. But whatever. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was my number 10.
Oh man, I missed it by much. It was so close to making my list. So close. It was on my list for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's not on my list. So.
It's my honorable mention, but tell us about it because I love this movie.
So I had so much fun with it. Jim Carrey is just masterful as always. Whenever he actually puts his heart and soul into a movie, you can tell when he's not just phoning it in. And he was 100% committed to Dr. Robotnik for both the first one and even more so in this one. And just the amount of crazy that goes on is super impressive. The Sonic animation, especially after their fix in the first one, just looks amazing. Tails was great. Just the continuing storyline of Sonic finding his family, or that found family stuff with the humans. I forget his name, but the guy who played Cyclops in X-Men.
Oh yeah, James Marsden. He plays
Marsden.
The father figure character.
Yeah.
And so that movie's fantastic. It's so much better than it needs to be.
Yes,
it's like
absolutely.
There's so much deep Sonic lore that's happening with the Chaos Emeralds and all this stuff, where I'm like, you're watching this movie and you're like, ha ha ha, Lord of the, and then you're like, yeah, Knuckles is a warrior of a different, like it was just there was so much more depth in it than it needed, and it was fucking great. It's like so enjoyable.
Yeah, and usually one of the things I always hate about like when they try to make books or video games, whatever, that are fantasy oriented into movies, they always try to bring it into the real world, and 90% of the time that sucks. But Sonic the Hedgehog is a masterclass on how to merge the two things.
And Ben Schwartz, the Sonic voice actor, is like spot on.
Absolutely.
So it was that great choice, great number 10.
Yeah, it barely missed my list. It just missed my list. It was on my list for a long time. Just today, I realized my list was like 15, 16 movies, and I just I was putting it down. Sonic 2 just missed my list. I love the movie for multiple reasons. One of which is that my kids and I saw it on Valentine's Day. We have
Nery's roboting. Is Nery roboting for everybody else?
Yeah, yes. we got cruise ship Nery.
We got cruise ship Nery.
Oh,
is that better?
No.
Anyways,
no.
I like the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Excellent.
That was
Good
clear. Nery likes the movie.
All right. Moving on.
Nery, if you can get us what's your number 10? Number 10 on the list is
my number 10. Am I still sounding robotic now? Still sounding
kind of You're sounding Dr. Robotnik.
Right. Well, my number 10 up in the lines of better than it should have been is Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh, honorable mention for me too. That shit was almost on my list.
Nice.
That was so good. I fucking love that movie. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Yeah.
That movie was fantastic. That movie, it was so meta. So meta. It deserved to be a theater release, and they were joking around about how they released it on Hulu or Disney Plus because they didn't market it. They just sent John Mulaney and Andy Samberg to like the late night talk shows and stuff like that, and it was like, hey, released on streaming, not in theaters. And they kept saying that. Like you could tell that there was like some back room bullshit but that movie was deserved so much more attention than it got because it was such a good breakdown of like nostalgia bullshit, like the Hollywood nostalgia machine in like a way that was like when they talked about the 2D animation versus the 3D makeover. They had like the copyright, the fact that people, oh my God, the movie is so clever, so smart, so well written, and almost like too smart for what it was supposed to be. Like, oh, Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers movie. And they're like, no. This is a huge satire of the Hollywood nostalgia machine. And it was just so like, so heartwarming, so clever. It was like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like an honorary sequel, or like in the spirit of an homage to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
100% the vibe I got watching that one. It's not on my list, but yes, very Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque with a lot of like 90s fan service.
Yeah, it's not on my list, but I now I want to see it even more than I did before because I've been sitting.
It was great. They had all these.
It was a fun watch.
Had all these built-in jokes. They were like, you know, again with the 2D and when they'll got the 3D operation, like it's an operation, so it's like augment, so it's like breast implants on. It's a whole thing. It's just fucking great, man. They did a great job. And creepy Sonic. I mean, just chef's kiss to be able to bring that shit back. It's so good, so good. But
it was great. Yeah.
All right, so that's so the number 10s were the Whale, the Batman, Sonic 2, and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Mike, correct. 9. What's your number 9?
Number 9 was a movie that, again, just like a massive ensemble cast of like amazing actors. See How They Run. Did you guys see that one?
That is my number 9 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
That's my number 9. See How They Run.
How it was a period piece, but murder mystery and a murder mystery about murder mysteries, and it was Saoirse Ronan and Sam Rockwell can do no wrong.
And Adrian Brody.
Oh yeah, but
Brody.
Spoiler alert.
I did see this. I saw it the other day on a cruise ship, and I didn't know what the fuck I was watching. I was like, this awesome. What the fuck is this? And it was great. Yes, I did see this. It was great.
Yeah, it's like a 1950s Agatha Christie, like
murder
mystery.
It's on my list now.
It's fantastic.
It was.
Is Agatha Christie really in the movie? That's amazing.
Yes.
the character of Agatha Christie as Agatha Christie is in the movie.
Yeah. It's. I don't want to say it because I don't. You want to compare it to other things, but I don't want to drop any other names that might be on someone's list. But
I also don't want to spoil it for you guys.
I don't want to spoil it either for Chad. But it was done with that same film noir kind of narration, but then it like turns it on its head. So then you're like watching it, going, "Wait, what? Who? What's happening?" And then it's like, and at a certain point, like. It's almost a spoiler to say that there's plot twists, but there's a plot twist from the opening scene. So like it's the whole movie sets things up to like throw them away and focus over here. And then there's like a whole like it's really well written.
The whole thing is that it's a murder mystery revolving around a play that is a murder mystery. So a lot of times characters are talking about the play, but they're really talking about the movie that the audience is watching, and vice versa.
Right.
So they'll say things like, "Oh, it's never the butler that did it," and then they'll pan over, and then there's an actual fucking butler, and you know what I mean? Like, so it's like really, it's really well done, really well done,
really well done.
It's a serial killer hunting in a haunted house.
Yeah.
It's on my list because it was just I went into it and I was like, oh, I'm curious about this because of the style and the way that it was presented. And I love a good period movie of the film noir era. And then I was like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic.
And kudos to this movie, Mike. I don't know if you remember, we once had a conversation about like, you don't need to explain that just because it's a period piece and you have other cultures in this movie. Like you have main characters of wealth and esteem back, and then if this was like based like in the 1930s, like there were no black rich people like in this situation, but we the audience don't give a fuck about that. You just give us a good actor and we're like,
everyone
we're fine. Like
it's fantasy.
Like you and you don't need to explain it. You don't need to be like, look, we know, but in this, like it's none of that. It was just like it was great. I loved it for multiple reasons. I didn't know what I was watching. I never even heard of this movie. I saw it.
Yeah, unless you're claiming to be a freaking documentary, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was my number 9, and Hilda's apparently.
Yeah, my number 9 as well. I saw when I saw the first like kind of ads for it, I was like, Saoirse Ronan, I'm in, just because I really like her. She's one of those actresses that I'm always curious about. Like if she's in something, I'll want to watch it. And then I saw, Sam Rockwell too. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm sold. I'll watch it. And no, really enjoyable. That was an easy, like, this is on my list somewhere. And I was just making a list and then I just started numbering them. But I knew from early on, See How They Run was going to be on my list. So that's my number 9 as well.
Chad? Number 9.
Northman.
Oh,
Still haven't seen it.
it's not on
That's
my
an
list.
honorable mention for me. I saw it. It was great.
It's not on my list, but it's one of my honorable mentions. That movie was fantastic.
Yes. So basically,
he needs to work out though.
Yeah, he could have done more bodybuilding, I guess. You know?
Yeah, do some crunches for God's sake.
Jeez, right? Like Chris Hemsworth set the bar, like figure it out. But anyway, the Northman was fun. You know, the cinematography here was great. I can't imagine that they filmed much off of like green screens. That seemed like a lot of onsets are on location in the north kind of areas. You know, with the fjords and everything, like just breathtaking views. The storylines were great. Actually, seems to be this year's theme, at least for my video game movie consumption. I played, you know, I watched the hell out of the Northman. I played God of War Ragnarok and AC Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's like a very Viking year for me. But yeah, it was good. It's a great revenge story. The journey these guys go on, particularly the Northman goes on, is very interesting. He was even, you know, the chance to walk away was given a couple times, and you know, to be happy, he was like, no, screw that, I'm going all the way.
What a year for Anya Taylor-Joy, huh?
Right? Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
in a bunch of shit that is like high up on people's lists.
Yep.
She's probably going to show up on. She might show. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She might show up on our list late again. Like, but Anya Taylor-Joy is crushing it in 2022.
Absolutely, no, she's been like on fire since easily 2020, in my opinion.
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit was phenomenal.
But yeah, this movie was great. It's honorable mention for me because I saw a lot of movies this year, and there's just other movies. Maybe there's movies on my list that are not as good, but that I enjoyed more. If that makes sense. Because because there was the very like, it did feel very like epic poem-y, where if that's not your vibe of like this, it was very like center of the camera, hero's journey down the tubes, down the pipe, coming at you storyline. But it was arguably one of the more like beautiful movies I've seen, like well shot, impressively visual movies.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that grabbed me. Like normally, cinematography is always great, but it's not. The story is usually what captures my attention more than anything else. But this one, just the cinematography was so good, it stood out. So that's why I had to mention
Ethan Hawke and his mom. The whole thing with great,
crazy. I don't want to spoil it, so I was like, that's why.
Nery, what about you?
My number 9 is gonna get taken. I'm pretty sure. A Black Panther 2.
Oh yeah, table.
Yeah.
Table.
Okay. All right. Go on to number 8. Mike, what's your number 8?
Here's where I don't know if this will count, but
Mike is like, hey guys, we can't spend so much time on each movie. Hey, what every pick comes around? Mike is also like, okay, so here's the reason. I'm like,
he only said 4 hours.
I like the fact that you were like, hey guys, but right, and then you're like, you give us the movie.
No, because it's not a movie. It's Werewolf by Night, because I think it deserves a spot as on my top 10 list of movies. I fucking loved it, but if it doesn't count, then I got another number 8.
Can it win an Oscar for best movie? It's not a movie.
Is it a? That one's off my radar. Is it a series?
It was on Marvel.
It's a 1 hour. It's a horror special that came out around Halloween on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So,
is it?
But apparently, it doesn't count.
Is it a movie? I don't know this. The only thing I know about is from what you told me. I thought you told me it was a series.
No, it was a one-shot thing.
Oh, yeah. It's got 1 episode. It's like 90 minutes. That's a movie.
I would say if it's a one-off, then it would count. Right?
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
I don't know if you know this.
I assume because I only know about the only thing I know about this is the very few things that you have told me about this in the past, and I just assumed the way you were speaking about it, it sounded like it was a series. So
no.
So no. This is
I don't know if you know this, but I don't vote for the Oscars. So
that's weird.
This is a movie to me, and it deserves to be recognized as one of the best things. It was a real departure for Marvel. It was an introduction into what could possibly be the R-rated Marvel world, like the horror movie. It was straight up black and white horror movie. It was fucking, the tone was perfect.
It's called
and
Werewolf
it was
by Night.
Werewolf by Night. It is one of the classic Marvel comics that I like dove into the stories and the histories of it when I knew it was coming out. And it was really fucking great, really well acted. The tone was perfect, almost like it was like B movie, but done really well. And then fucking God, it was really, really good. And it was a real good introduction into like this horror the Marvel horror world. No other Marvel project is on my list except for this.
Okay.
So that's how much I liked it more than anything else that came out this year of Marvel. It was so enjoyable, so fun to watch, and it came out during Halloween, which was perfect.
Yeah, that was
more so than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I loved Thor: Love and Thunder, but let's be real, it's not on that top 10.
No, I did not love it.
It's the Whale, and then Thor: Love and Thunder is like right here.
Yeah, it definitely got a cut for my 10.
Yeah. I was joking. I was mockingly joking about Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm sorry. I apologize. All right, Werewolf by Night. You told me about this before. It's a horror thing, and I'm kind of out on the horror thing. So, Hilda, what do you got for your number 8?
My number 8 is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Table.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it, so nothing for me.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Chad, number 8.
Spirited.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I said good day.
Yeah, I say good day.
Afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I said good afternoon. It's not on my list. Feel free to talk about it.
Okay.
Is it on anyone else's? No. Okay.
Yeah,
No.
so.
I mean, if anybody wants to hear our opinions of Spirited, just go watch the Movie Bros episode on Spirited.
That's true. That's true.
In a short sum up,
I love this movie, by the way. Good.
It was a ton of fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. It was even better than I hoped because, of course, I'll watch anything with Ryan Reynolds. He's hysterical as always. Will Ferrell for me is very hit or miss depending on what he's doing. But I wanted to see what the two of them combined could do, and they just knocked it out of the park. Obviously, it's a tale of sort of the Ghost of Christmas Future, past, and all that. It's got Scrooge vibes, but in a completely different way.
Yes.
So definitely watch it.
Super.
Definitely go check out the Movie Bros episode of for this one because we really dive into it, and it was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
I agree. I very much enjoyed it. That's a good pick. This is Spirited along with 8-Bit Christmas is like it's like two of the recent Christmas movies that I know will be in rotation for years to come.
Hell yes.
So
same, Nery. Those two. I made that comment the other a couple weeks ago to Sean, but I was like, those two movies are hands down in my new rotation. Same thing with same thing. 8-Bit Christmas. We need to do a movie, bro. We might have missed.
We were
on that
supposed to, and then something happened. I don't remember. But another previous movie bros entry is Bullet Train.
Table.
That made my honorable mention. So
Table.
All right. Number 7. Let's go and move on to number 7. Mike, what you got for number 7?
Number 7 for me, Netflix, The Gray Man.
I
saw something about that.
Anybody watch it?
I did see it. It's not on my list, but I forgot about that movie. That movie was good.
I love that movie.
It was fun. Yeah. That was a fun one.
Okay, so you didn't like it?
No, I didn't. The action was really good, but the story was really clunky for me. I hate 10 years ago.
Okay, stop talking. You're a robot. That movie. Okay, so it's the Russo brothers doing another action movie, and it is Ryan Gosling, and Ana de Armas, and it's like any spy movie. Like you have to the story for me with any spy movie is loosely held together, right? Like it doesn't have to. It'll come together at the end, and there's some other shit going on. I will say the survivability of all of their injuries is also one of those things where I was like, I don't think you would not be. You'd be in a hospital. Like there would be. That's bullshit. But
it's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, there was a lot of flesh wounding of very, very serious injuries. But the action was so fucking good, from the fight choreography to also the action choreography. And it was like the first time I've seen drones used the way they were being used. Like drones flying like fucking close as shit to the actors. Like you watch the making of stuff, they had like special drone pilots that were part of the drone racing league. Do you know what the drone racing league is?
Yes, very cool thing.
Which
I love it.
So cool. If you're not like, for me, the biggest sporting events in the world in the future are going to be robot related. So like BattleBots and fucking drone racing league. If you watch their videos, they're so engaging and super cool. And they were using these pilots to pilot the drones in ways that I've never seen shit like that before. Like I've never seen shots like that before. And it's on my list, not because the story is great or whatever. It's because I was watching it, and every time the camera would do something, I'd be like, whoa. And that's the first time I've been blown away by cinematography like that. And also, Chris Evans' porn stash deserves an Oscar nomination on its own. It's amazing.
That's fair.
I loved it.
Was the year of porn stash? You had that
super porn stash heavy year. Kind of, yeah. You're okay.
I did it. So 10 years ago, if you listen to like this episode, Mike and I used to really go and shit on each other's picks when we didn't like them. And I guess as we got older, we're just like, yeah, it's not my cup of tea. That's what we got.
Yeah, it's called mellowing out. Yeah,
right. So I don't want to shit on. I say that to say I don't want to shit on anybody's picks, but I was like, this movie, I wanted to love it, and I just didn't. And the stories, I was like, the action is fantastic, and I was hoping, and because there's a running joke in Geek Bro, any movie I like has a 2 explosion minimum. Like I don't like a movie that doesn't have explosions, which is obviously not true and an exaggeration, but I do really enjoy action and adventure movies. And you would think this movie has so many explosions that I would be like, it would be red. But I was just like, the story to make it forgettable. The action makes it great, but the story, I just didn't care about the story. And but
I mean, it was this movie was next level action for me. Like it's like an advancement of what action can be. So it's on my list.
Okay, that
was my number 7. Right. What about you, Hilda?
Hilda's number 7.
I think my number 7 is going to get tabled, but my number 7 is The Menu.
Oh yeah, table.
So close. So close.
Honorable mention. So yeah.
Honorable mention. Okay. All right. Moving on to Chad.
Chad, number 7.
Smile.
Oh. I didn't see it.
Never saw it.
I didn't see it, but I wanted to.
Okay, so I love horror movies.
Was it as creepy as I'm hoping it is?
Yes, it was very creepy. To me, it was a much better version of if a movie came out a couple years ago called It Follows, and it also had a lot of
like that
it had a lot of Fallen vibes. The one with Denzel from.
I love that movie.
Right?
Oh, I love the movie. That movie was great.
So it was very cool. The mystery, like of the thing that was following and what how it was killing and everything was very interesting. There's several cool twists. Yeah, I mean it was creepy as all hell. Yeah, I watched it with my my favorite horror companion, my mom, and both of us are hard to creep out, but we both turned that movie off going, yeah, I think I need a nightlight.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's
dope that you watch horror movies with your mom.
Yeah, she's the one who, that's like all of this fantasy and horror shit comes from her. And it definitely was
awesome. That's amazing.
That's awesome. I watch Disney movies with my mom because that's her level.
As long as it's fun.
Yeah, that's my mom's like vibe. She's like Disney.
Yeah, keep it more
I put
chill.
on news in Spanish from YouTube with my mom. That's her vibe.
Nery, What was your number 7, Nery?
My number 7 is Netflix original Day Shift with Jamie Foxx.
Oh, I wanted to see that. I didn't see that yet.
I missed that.
I fucking loved that movie. So much fun. It took the whole vampire slaying thing, kind of like not only modernized it, but made it like a hip hop thing, and it made it into a. I don't want to say flip it on its head because it still has a lot of the same tropes, but it made it in a fun way because of the movie. It's like it the whole movie is like vampire slayer. Vampires are real. Vampire slayers are real, but it's unionized. So if you are gonna kill vampires, you have to be part of the union. And the whole thing is that Jamie Foxx's character, although he's really good at slaying vampires, he's also like fallen in bad reviews. He's gotten bad reviews because he's broken rules. So they put him on the day shift, hence the name of the movie, Day Shift. And to kill vampires, to have the day shift is the shittiest shift for vampire slayers, because that's
you have to go find them.
out. So it's
right.
Like the whole.
God, that's great.
It's really good. It's really fucking good. Snoop is in this movie, and he does actually a good job.
He's a better actor. He's great in Training Day.
Yes,
no. But he's the best he's ever acted is in this movie, which is ridiculous because he plays but he's only in the movie for like 7 minutes screen time, but he does a good job acting as a vampire slayer. So, but it's really good. The act's fantastic. It's really well done. I actually did a review of this on Woo Bros TikTok before I started Movie Bros. I was just like, talk about movies that I've seen and apparently nobody else has seen or whatever. I want to just talk about it. And I got tired of waiting for my friends to watch the same movie. So then that's why. But Day Shift is really that movie. I really enjoyed the fuck out of Day Shift. It was great.
I'm adding that to my list to check out. I love Snoop. I love Snoop. I'm like, Snoop's in it? I'm in.
For sure.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really fun. And the this is not a spoiler because if you saw the poster, you would know. But baddie is not only a woman, but it's a Hispanic woman. And I'm like, fuck yes, finally the representation that the Latino community has been fucking waiting for. We wanting to get into this, female bad villain role. What can we be that?
Are you saying Salma Hayek doesn't count?
That's I think what he's getting at. But he's all this nuance is lost because he saw
we're losing it.
Robot. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
He lost you right at the punchline. We lose Nery to the robot voice, and the nuance is gone.
Gotcha. Damn. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that was number 7.
Joe here.
Exactly. Yeah. So what were the number 7s, Nery?
Number 7s were The Gray Man, The Menu, Smile, and Day Shift.
Okay. My number 6 moving on is going to be Bullet Train.
Table.
Okay.
It's on my list too. Anyone else? No.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Okay.
What's your number 6, Hilda?
My number 6, I believe it came out on Hulu, but my number 6 is Prey. I don't know if anyone else saw it.
Oh yeah.
Table.
Table.
Oh, so good.
That's another one on my honorable mention.
My whole list is tabled, man.
That means that we all that just means that we all like each other's lists.
We are in sync.
Yeah.
Chad.
All right, so
I'm sure this is going to table The Menu.
It was on my list, yeah. It was.
No, but so now if no one has it higher.
Oh,
okay. If no one has it higher, then
now it's time. Now talk about The Menu.
Now we talk.
Go, Hilda. Go.
I love this movie. I love the dark comedy. I know it's necessarily not meant to be a comedy, but I found myself laughing so inappropriately at this movie for a variety of reasons. But I love Ralph Fiennes. He's always great. Again, Anya Joy Taylor-Joy, just another knockout performance by her. And Nicholas Hoult, which we had
He
seen.
was great.
You just wanted to hate him, like
Absolutely.
throughout.
Can we spoiler alert this movie, because there's a point in the movie where there's a turn
we've done it on Movie
changed. You did it on Movie Bros? Okay.
Yeah, we did it on Movie Bros.
I was like kind of meh about it until that guy shoots himself in the fucking head. And I was like, what? What's happening? And immediately I'm just like, wait, what is this movie supposed to be about? And that once that happens, I became super engaged. And then I don't know, my wife and I have differing opinions about this movie, because she was like, I didn't like it. And I'm like, oh, but it was hilarious. Like, it was so darkly satirical that it was, I was like blown away by it.
And just highlighting the separation of the classes, and it just, just class hierarchy and pretentiousness and what is art. I don't know. There was so much I loved about this movie, which is hence why I say, I know it's not a comedy, but I found myself laughing so much inappropriately.
I think there was some deliberate dark comedy.
Oh no, I think the whole movie is deliberately made to be funny. Like they dress up as fucking s'mores. I mean, that's not. You can't dress up a room full of people as s'mores and not think it's good, and not do that intentionally to get laughs. That's fucking hilarious, dude. Come on.
Chocolate hats.
When they force that Nicholas Holt's character to start cooking, and he's like, and then he go like that scene, I was like, well, that was so fucking funny. Where they were all watching him fail. Yeah. Oh God, that's so great to me, because all of the bullshit that he talked a big game, that like once they put him on the spot, there's like, oh, leeks, we have leeks, butter, and everyone's like, oh yeah, they're like making it seem like, it was so funny where they're like, oh, you're gonna use butter now, and then then when you see him hanging in the fucking closet because he killed it because of the embarrassment of whatever, like the failure that he was, it was like, yeah, motherfucker, you piece of shit, bringing this other random, like, it was just like, you wanted to like the guy at the beginning, and then by the end you're like, yeah, good for you, you piece of shit.
I never wanted to, in the episode of I thought, like, from the very onset when he was like, don't smoke because it kills, I was like, kill him. I didn't even know it was a horror movie yet, and I was like, kill him. Just fucking kill him right now. I was just like, I hated that character so much. Kill him now. Ugh, the worst. Fuck that guy.
I know, but he was great. It was like you just hated him from the beginning.
Oh, he was great. He did great because
his goal was definitely accomplished.
Yes, it was. 100%. 100%.
Great pick. Great pick. I have a question. Was Bullet Train higher on anybody's list?
Yes.
Okay.
Higher than yours, right?
Right. I just want to make sure that we are doing the table rules properly. We don't skip Bullet Train. I want to talk about it.
All right, Nery, you're 6.
My number 6 is the second animated movie on my list. The first one being the Chip and Dale, and my number 6 is The Bad Guys.
Oh wow!
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things.
It's so good. It is like, and when you watch the making of, it's pretty deliberate, but it is a straight homage to. There's a couple different homages, but thematically is an homage to Pulp Fiction. It's done in that spirit, and so watching an animated movie in the spirit with the spirit of Pulp Fiction, but still made for kids, or made that kids can watch it, safe for kids, is just chef's kiss. Because I was like, this is really fucking good, man. It's a heist movie. The main characters are animals, but nobody else seems to be an animal. Everybody else is human. It doesn't, like, it's one of those things where you're like, it doesn't follow any of the animation rules, where you're like, what? But what are you? And then they have the lure of the respective stories that each comes from. So the main bad guy, played by what's his name from See How They Run, voiced by him. What's his name? You guys just said it.
Adrian Brody?
Sam Rockwell. Have him play the wolf, and the wolf within the movie talks about that people are always afraid of him because of the story of the three pigs. So he's in that. It's a weird meta, non-meta thing. But it's fantastic. I love this fucking movie.
How many times does Quentin Tarantino say the N-word in it?
Well, they do say narwhal quite a bit. Does this look like dead narwhal storage to you? Does that place that dead narwhal storage?
Yay, we got the joke without the robot. Yay!
Wow, all right. But the movie was great.
Good
The
pick.
whole opening sequence is them at a dining room, and then is them at a diner sitting across the table from each other. Two of the characters, and then they're like, "All right, time to go." And like that's the way the movie opens.
Yeah.
And you're like, and just having random conversations about birthdays. Like, oh, I don't like birthdays. How do you not like birthdays? Everybody likes birthday, like birthday cake. You're like, birthday cake. Like they had this whole random conversation. It's very Quentin-esque. I fucking dug it, man. I dug it.
I didn't expect that. Now it's on the list.
Yeah.
At least, did they have the like McRoyal with cheese or whatever?
You gotta watch. The movie is really fun, man. All right. So number 6 is Bullet Train, Prey, The Menu, Bad Guys.
That's right.
All right.
Top 5, number 5 for me, and I absolutely know it's going to get tabled. Top Gun Maverick.
Table.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Hilda, after to you.
My number 5 is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Table.
All right.
Ooh.
Moving on, Chad.
Nope. Hellraiser 2022.
Not on my list.
Of course it's not going to get tabled. Of course
I don't
not.
know. I don't think this is on anybody's list. But that's what, like I said, I'm a horror freak. What do you want? So they remade Hellraiser, not for the first time, but this one was done by Hulu, and it was done awesome. I'm usually pretty harsh on horror remakes, especially the main classics, but they did such a good job. The makeup and effects were amazing. They definitely tried to put in the spirit of the original movie and the book that it came from, more than like the other reboots. And they did a great job. It was a whole new cast of characters, like nothing to do with like the prior series at all. And just the makeup, the horror of it all, the body horror, just the uncomfortable positions they put everything in. It's impressive. Like I thought they did.
Did your mom like it?
Yeah, she did actually.
That's my benchmark now for all horror movies. Did Chad's mom like it?
Actually, Hellraiser and stuff is right around her line of stuff that she can't watch. So she doesn't like anything with like major torture themes, and of course Hellraiser is like that. But she liked this one. She made her watch it.
I'd be curious to watch it because I mean sometimes a remake can hit the right mark. Like I love the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Right,
one.
like that one in particular. You know, and it's one of those where like I wasn't sure. Like and that was years ago, but. You know, so I don't always say like no to a remake. And mostly after I saw like that Rob Zombie Halloween, because I was like, okay, maybe a remake could be really good.
I'm not necessarily against remakes. I'm just saying I go in with a skepticism. Like
right.
I don't know if you're going to be better than the original ones. But also, you go back in some of your favorite movies that you may not have realized were remakes from shit from like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, that's exactly. my thing is I'm much more likely to enjoy a remake if I did not know the original thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'll give it
even people are like very
nope, Nery, nope. Bail.
Yeah. Sorry, man. You're real bad.
Sorry, man.
This is breaking my heart, man. Because
I know.
It's like the top 10 episode, and like we can't get Nery.
Start over. Say what you were gonna say again. Maybe you're better now.
I don't think I'm better now.
A little.
It's all right. It's fine. I'm just saying most people who don't like remakes is because they don't realize that the movies they do like are remakes.
Right.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
That was number 5's.
5. Yep.
I haven't done my number 5 yet.
Yeah.
Go.
What's your number 5, Nery?
My 5 is my only non-explosion movie on the list, and there's no explosions in my number 5, and it is Hustle from Adam Sandler, Netflix original movie.
I look good. I haven't seen it, but I look good.
If you like basketball, you'll love this movie. If you don't like basketball, you'll still love this movie because it's not about basketball. It's about the story of the people behind trying to make a dream come true.
Yes, you know what? As soon as you said that, I did see this movie. This movie was this was good.
Is this not Uncut Gems? Uncut Gems has Kevin Garnett. Is it not Uncut Gems is a basketball movie too?
No, it's not. But
so this is a different movie than Uncut Gems. I don't know why I mashed these two movies up in my brain as the same
because you're
movie.
thinking Adam Sandler not in a comedy is what you're thinking.
Right.
No, but you know what? It's that was one of those movies where we randomly put it on. Adam Sandler can be kind of hit or miss for me, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I was impressed. It surprised me. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I was like, oh, because again, he sometimes is hit or miss for me. But yes, I had forgotten about that movie. I'm glad you mentioned that, Nery.
Yeah. So again, if you just anybody who has, it's a movie about following your dreams. Whatever this particular dream is about basketball, but it's about following your dreams and the sacrifices that it takes to make those dreams happen from everybody involved. It's not just one person's dream, but it's the person who's married to that person that had a dream, and so on and so on. And it shows. I thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I love this movie, and I'm a huge fan of basketball, so it all coincides. Also, Mike, this movie is not Punch Drunk Love. So that's not
okay, good. Interesting.
Good to know.
There you go. So the number 5s were Top Gun 2, Black Panther 2, Hellraiser 2022, and Hustle 2. No, there's
Hustle 2. Yeah, no, the only
lots of 2.
Only one on number 5s that didn't have a 2 on there. All right. So what do you got for the 4s?
Number 4 for me is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
No.
Did nobody see this movie? Oh my god!
Oh, I saw
Pedro Pascal and Nick Cage.
I saw it.
You saw it? You didn't like it either?
It was no, it was fine. It was fine. Like it wasn't a bad. I would give this, if we were doing movie roles, I would give it 3 face-off guns out of 5. I definitely recommend it, but it's nothing that I'm gonna go home. I don't really. It was fine. It was fine. I'm glad Nick Cage is back, because it's always nice to have Nick Cage in the zeitgeist, but
look, it was between this or Morbius, and you liked Morbius more than this movie. I loved it, but I also like I don't know if you could tell, like I like movies, things that are like about movies. So like See How They Run was about, it's like a thing about the thing, like it's a mystery about mysteries. Werewolf by Night was a horror movie with like a really obvious like trying to be about horror movies. Bullet Train felt like we'll talk about that one, but The Gray Man was an action movie about action movie. Like it feels like that. I loved things that got you thinking about how it was made more than like that, but that also had a story. So like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent was this movie that was very meta, just had a lot of just meta content in it. And it reminded me a lot of that episode of Community where Abed has to decide whether or not Nicolas Cage is a good actor or a bad actor, right? Because the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, is he a good actor or is he a bad actor? And the whole time through Pedro Pascal's character, you're like, oh, this guy just loves movies and he's like a fan, like he's just a fan of this guy. And it's also like a fan of Hollywood. And then like it reminded me a little bit of Adaptation, which is another Nick Cage movie. That's a movie about screenplay writing. If you watch it, it's really a weird movie about that sort of thing. So like, I like this movie. As I was watching it, I was just like, oh, like I was watching it on like these 2 levels of like, this is great. Pedro Pascal is hilarious. They're doing fucking hallucinogenics in shot beautifully. Also like in where was it? Spain. And just amazing. Like as a movie, and then there's all this other subtext of like Nick Cage commenting on his own career. It was great. I really enjoyed it, and I loved the performances because it was very fucking, had a lot of laugh out loud moments for me.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the movie. It was fine, but it was like the moment the movie finished, I didn't think anything of. I didn't think about it again.
No,
I was like, okay,
I dug it.
It was fine. And so everything is Pedro Pascal is by far the best thing in this movie. He's great.
He's great, but the Nick Cage of it all is why the movie exists. You know,
Right,
the fact that, you know what I mean? Like, is he who he, you know, like that whole thing, the whole premise of, is he great or is he not? You know, and that's how I was watching.
A cool story that Nick Cage said while promoting this movie on a late night show, is that he said that when he met the director kind of really is Pedro Pascal's character in this movie. Like, he really is an ultra fan, and it creeped him out. Nick Cage was like kind of creepy. It was kind of creepy. Like, he was like this kind. I'm like, oh, he kind of is this guy. So yeah.
Yeah, but I loved it. It was great. My number 4.
All right. Hilda, number 4.
All right, my number 4 was Bullet Train.
Yay!
Does anyone have it higher?
No? That was my,
All
number 2.
All right.
Go tell us about Bullet Train.
Oh my God, can I just say lemon and tangerine? Can we just start there?
The best.
I love Brad Pitt in comedies. Like Mr. and Mrs. Smith is one of my favorite Brad Pitt movies, and this movie had that kind of, just brought me back to like that Brad Pitt, and I absolutely cannot think of a movie where it was fast paced. I laughed so much, and it was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. The number of, I'm like, how do I even summarize this quick? I just really enjoyed it. Like the adversaries, the ridiculous scenarios, the just countless murders.
Visuals wrap around these odd characters. It's like multiple character movies in one movie that is like through an anime filter. You know what I mean? Like everything was hyper stylized. Everything was every frame of that movie felt 100% on purpose, and like structured in a way that was leading towards this. You know what I mean? Like everything was on purpose, on point, and like incredibly well structured. But as you're watching it, it was like a caper. It was like, what the like everything goes wrong, and you're like, oh, but everything goes, like the filmmaking side of it. I was like, this is great. And then the ending is so crazy. You know, like physically crazy. Like the reality of what you're watching is insane, and it was just an awesome character piece, just like flavored with anime action.
Yeah. Yep. And Brad Pitt's whole he's like, I'm trying to do good. Like, he's just got this vibe. Like, he's like, I thought I was out of this. I don't really want to do this anymore. You know,
he's like, Dante Hicks from Clerks. He's
like,
Dante.
I shouldn't even be here
I shouldn't even be here today. That his whole that vibe.
Yes.
I love one of my favorite movies is 12 Monkeys, because you get to see Brad Pitt be something other than Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So whenever I get to see Brad Pitt being actually acting and not just being cool Ocean's 11 Brad Pitt, I'm like engaged. Yeah. He's such a good actor that it almost like sucks that he is so attractive, because they keep putting him in movies where they don't let him act. He just has to be cool.
Right. That's definitely true. He definitely gets bound a lot more than he should. You can tell when they let him go, he just knocks it out of the park every time.
Yeah. A little too typecast sometimes, but then again, like when I like Mr. and Mrs. Smith was like the first one that really stood out to me as like a different Brad Pitt when that came out. I mean, what was that like? I don't know. It was more than 10 years ago.
Yeah,
forever
early
ago.
2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. You know, and I just thought, oh my God, this is like a whole other Brad Pitt that we don't get to see often. And so, Bullet Train kind of reminded me of that Brad Pitt, and I had
it was great.
I loved Bullet.
But everybody else in that movie deserves a lot of credit too, especially Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry.
Lemon.
So their spoiler alert, when there's like the death, like when they die, there's like you feel the emotional hit in this fucking wacky movie. You feel like the emotional hit of those characters because they do such a good job of building that like relationship and showing their history and those flashbacks. Oh, it's really, really like, again, it's like a character piece.
That's why I mentioned them first, because I was like, okay, I know we're going to talk about Brad Pitt, but can I get a little love first for Lemon and Tangerine? Because Brian Terry Henry and Aaron, they've just fantastic.
It was Zazie Beetz, and who was the other girl that plays
Joey King?
Joey King. She was great as like,
and Bad Bunny as the wolf.
Yes, that's right. I forgot Bad Bunny was in it.
Just such a crazy cast, and just such a fun watch. That's my number 4.
You know how great the cast is, that everybody did such a great job that we all forget that Michael is in this fucking movie, and Michael Shannon, not again, always does a great job, but just fucking killed it.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't here.
He was the villain. And what's his name? The samurai that in every movie that everybody knows. He plays like the samurai in this movie, the ninja assassin guy.
What's
his name?
Is it the guy from like the Wolverine?
Hiroki Sanada.
Yes, that guy.
Hiroki Sanada. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He's great in everything. But yeah, that's the go that he was great. He was great. Everyone was great. It was fantastic. Good. It was fantastic.
Anyway, that was great. What was that, number 4?
Sean's in the comments. He's like, Last Samurai.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, Chad, what was your number 4?
Black Panther. Wakanda Forever.
That was my number 5, so that was before.
Okay. Anybody
higher?
Anybody higher?
My number 9.
Okay, so talk about it.
All right. Well, Black Panther picks up not too long after Endgame, I think. And they do the death of Chadwick Boseman, aka the original Black Panther in the first movie. So good. Like, as in, obviously the guy died prior to or during the filming of the movie, I think. If not right before it. But so they kind of never show him, but the whole beginning of the movie is his death, and then the impact of his death rippling throughout the nation of Wakanda and all that. And it kind of walked the audience along, like how we all kind of felt in real life too, like if you cared at all about him and the character. Because that was a rough hit, because he was such a good Black Panther, and just a good actor in general. But that kind of struggle, and then watching the whole struggle for the crown and what Wakanda is going to stand for, if it's even going to stand, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really good. Like, they did a really good job with all the emotional trauma just rippling out, and watching back.
Yeah, we talked about this on Movie Bros, me and Nery, and one of my biggest not complaints about the movie. One of my biggest complaints about the movie was that this movie was struggling with like direction, in terms of in my opinion, that it was like they wanted to do, like, you could see what this movie was originally supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it still had the framework, but they also had to deal with the fact of the Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, like that layer of his loss. Right. And I did not like this movie as much as other people. And my struggle with it was that I felt like the movie was dealing with real life too much. Like, I loved that they addressed it all, but I felt like as a movie it suffered. I would have loved to have seen them recast the Black Panther and do the movie that was supposed to be Black Panther 2.
Okay.
So much more than this one, because then I can't separate reality from it, and I could feel that in the making of it they couldn't either, and that was my struggle with it. And there's some like structural elements of all the Phase 4 Marvel shit that it went into this movie that I did not enjoy, where like the Midnight Angels was jammed in there, I felt. And I loved Riri Williams, but Riri Williams I felt like maybe didn't need to be in this movie. And I have my issues with Letitia Wright as an anti-vaxxer, so I was like, I don't think she's as good as an actress as I think she is. The whole movie was hinged around Angela Bassett for me because she was fucking perfect.
Yes,
Nominated
she's
for
really
a
good.
Golden
Namor.
Globe, she deserved.
And
Mwah.
Namor.
And Tina Cuerta as Namor, which was I loved the introduction of his character, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy is acting. Him and Angela Bassett on that beach, they were
so
fucking
good.
acting, bro. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't even mention Namor, and yeah, Namor did a hell of a job. I'm gonna murder his name.
It's Namor. They have a canonic pronunciation in the world, so it is now a Latino character. His name is Namor.
Namor
with a rolled R and everything.
Namor.
Yeah, they did a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, the war between Wakanda and them was great. Just
I enjoyed this movie. It was at my number 9. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I just it had some problems for me. I didn't have the problems that Mike had with it, but I just really this movie. My biggest issue was the final fight. I didn't care. This is not believable. I don't like. It doesn't really matter to me. Like I don't know. So. But I actually enjoyed Ironheart. I thought that was cool that they include her in there. And I know a lot of people did it. People are like, oh, you doing it? I'm like, I thought it was cool that they included her. I thought it was dope. So.
I thought
it was great. I just think story-wise, like that was the thing. Structurally, this movie was not great for me. But I loved Riri Williams' character, and I can't wait. I'm excited for her in her own show, if that makes sense. Like I feel like, I would have rather had a lot more Riri Williams than other aspects of in this movie. That's why I'm like, I wish I would have been able to see what it would have been. That was my biggest question on this movie.
I have a feeling that kind of thing that where a character is there, and yeah, I mean, I know Disney, particularly with Marvel movies, has always sprinkled random characters throughout so that they can come back later in their own movie or whatever. But it feels like with Phase 4, even in Star Wars and stuff, there are characters that they try to give a little bit too much time that should have been like much more of a held back character, and then they get their own show, or movie or whatever.
This is the equivalent of when the WWE tries to push the champion on us. They're like, no, we're not. No,
we don't give a fuck about Roman Reigns. We don't give a fuck about him.
Nobody does.
And see, for me, like I'll agree. Like Tina Cuerta and Angela Bassett really stole it for me. They were incredible. But I'll slightly disagree. I see where you're coming from, Mike. But the fact that losing Chadwick Boseman was such a huge loss, but they still managed to weave him in where his presence still felt very in the movie. Like you're watching it, you almost feel like he's in this movie because yes, in real life it was such a big loss, and it did kind of drive maybe a new narrative for the movie. But I thought also, considering what we know happened, I thought they still managed.
I think that's what Mike is saying. I think that Mike is again, I'm with you on this one. I'm not in agreement with Mike that it took away from the movie, but I think what Mike is saying is that he was such a presence in this movie that it took away from the story that was supposed to have been there, because it made it distracting to us, the audience, because it's harder to separate the Black Panther character with the Chadwick Boseman person. So the viewer, do one thing on the screen that's supposed to be about T'Challa, but we the audience know that it's because Chadwick Boseman passed. So it's kind of distracting. Again, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with him. I'm with you on this one, but that's Mike's point, is that it was too much.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, I understand Mike's point. I think that for me, it helped to magnify that plot line of the necessity of, like, will we have another Black Panther? Who is leading? And then spoiler alert, but Queen dies. It's this super chaotic, like, what's going to happen next? There's this impending doom coming, and like our strong leadership is in this flux, like so. I don't know, like it's.
I personally enjoyed the fact that
I enjoyed it.
like
I
that
enjoyed it.
aspect of the story where they're like, "Oh, Black Panther died," and then that led to the opening sequence of the movie where Angela Bassett's like, "Don't get it twisted. Just because we don't have a Black Panther doesn't mean that we're fucking weak, and we will, set you fucking straight right here and right now publicly."
Right.
And these are the people that you get, and when they brought in those soldiers.
She should have been the Black Panther. She should have been the Black Panther. They should have at the end. It should have been her in the fucking suit trying to deal with the fact that she's older but still taking the hard shit. Like, it should have been her, in my opinion. I don't think Letitia Wright has the power to carry a movie in terms of, she's a supporting character trying to be a main character. It's hard for me to accept it.
She's
like the whole time I was watching.
I'll agree with you on that, Mike. I can see that. Yeah,
she's a supporting actress trying to be a lead. Yeah,
I agree.
And that was the whole time. I was like, I find everyone. It's like literally the whole time I'm watching, every time she would be on there, I'd be like, that show. Like, I found myself wanting to see everyone else's story. Like, show me Lupita Nyong'o in Haiti. So
Let
much more than.
Let me hear Lupita Nyong'o Spanish again, please. That was
Lupita. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah,
everyone but who was the lead was amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll agree with that change. And by no means was I saying that I liked the selection of Black Panther, but I can see how I liked the fact that we lost Boseman before this movie was fully produced. For me, that aspect did not take away from the film itself. Like in that case, that does not mean like how the rest of the movie planned out, but losing him didn't make that big of an. Like, I still felt his presence watching it, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, to me, it was a way better handling of an actor passing and keeping their character than, say, like Leia in Star Wars.
Oh my god!
They screwed Leia's ending up.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that could have been so much better.
There's a lot that we could talk about that all day, but that's not on our list.
That could be like
I know.
That's
we can sit there all day.
That's a whole other Movie Bros episode.
Yeah,
I got a whole list going, guys, of things we need to add
whose
to
pick
Movie
was?
Bros.
That was Chad's pick was Black Panther 2. That was his number 4.
That was my 4.
Yep, that was
my number 4. My number 4 is the best Marvel movie of the year. In my opinion is Doctor Strange 2. That's my number.
Honorable
4.
mention.
Thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of. Mike and I talked about it when it came out. We did a spoiler special about it. Thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of it. And again, both Black Panther 2 and Doctor Strange 2, I was not a fan of the original of part 1s, but I very much thoroughly enjoyed the sequels much more than I did the originals, and pretty much for every reason that they were. Like, everything about the originals that I didn't like Doctor Strange, the original, I didn't like the last battle. Because I didn't feel like it was a battle. I thought it was kind of cheesy, kind of cop out. And the final battle in Doctor Strange 2 was fucking awesome. And having everything in that movie was great to me. Seeing Patrick Stewart in his yellow hovering wheelchair, just for nostalgia purposes, having that song kick in the background, it was just fucking. And don't get me wrong, I could totally acknowledge that it looked ridiculous once they panned out. Right? It looked like it was a craft done by a father and son. It's like, look, Daddy, I'm a superhero now. Like, sure you are, buddy. Sure, like it looked like one of those. It just looked ridiculous. This is the reason why. But for nostalgia purposes, it was great. But I loved everything about the fight scene with him and himself against himself with the fucking music chords, with the music notes.
That's great.
It's great. Yeah, Danny Elfman did the music and fucking crushed it. And that movie had Sam Raimi with his horror elements, like just like the fucking Scarlet Witch coming out of the mirrors and going, fucking great, man. Just so much like good homage to Sam Raimi movies, which I think a lot of people were like complaining about. Like there are complaints about this movie that I don't agree with, but I get. You know what I mean? I understand why people complain about it, but I loved this movie. It was honorable mention for me, but it was great.
I didn't.
So this was actually.
I don't know any complaints, so I didn't know there were complaints. I was like universally loved. So what do I know?
This is never universally loved. Come on, there's always complaints. But this is actually my number 3. I didn't say stop when you said because I was listening.
Oh shit! I didn't hear you, man. I'm sorry.
Oh,
no. I didn't say it. So I didn't say table because I was listening to what you were saying. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my fault.
Right. Well,
but yeah,
we'll talk about it now.
We'll come back to it.
We can now in reverse.
No, talk about it now. Chad would it's the next pick. It's not even like it's further along. It's next.
Right.
Pick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not. It doesn't matter.
All right. We got
no, go talk about it. Yeah, we already talked about it.
Yeah,
we're there. We're already there. Let's do it.
Oh, okay. So my pick on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was I love the multiverse. It's like one of my favorite things about comics, though it gets used as cop outs way too often as well. It's like anything with great power, right? But you could write such amazing stories with it. And Doctor Strange to me was always more of a galactic character or like a cosmic character, I guess would be a way of putting it. So I love that they brought in all the random shit. I love that they managed to bring in the X-Men. I knew that was going to happen. Because after they merged and everything, they were like, I
literally said, oh shit, movie theater out loud. Like that was very oh shit. Like I was like that. That was
No, it opens up so many possibilities. Obviously, and very exciting stuff. And then I love the evil Doctor Strange. He was great. It was a different actor. Benjamin Cumberbatch did a great evil version of the character. The whole Scarlet Witch thing, like her vacillating back and forth between like I'm a psycho to I'm just a grieving mom, like goes back and forth. And I'm like, I thought they all did a great job. I would definitely watch this again a million times.
I've watched it a few times already. Yeah.
I enjoyed.
You lost you.
Robo Nery.
Yeah, robot. I've watched it a couple times, and every time, and it is one of those things where you go back and you see, like the Sam Raimi-isms. If you look for them, you can find them and kind of get a feel for it, and then you can also find different elements where you can see Elizabeth Olsen is a great actress too. Like she's good, and she's portraying like when she portrays the 818 mom versus the Scarlet Witch, and when they show each other at the end, and I was like, like you could see that that whole scene was my wife was always was like laughing because she's like, I'm watching you watch the movie because every time something would happen, you'd be like, oh damn, or like wow, or okay, I was having like visceral reactions in the movie theater,
It was like reading a comic book. You're like, pow, wow,
pow.
I again, I don't want to not talk about this movie and not talk about America.
America Chavez,
oh right, yes, absolutely.
They
did a great job with her.
Love it. I mean, finally, the Marvel Universe has a Hispanic character. Sure, her superpower is, evolution, but the whole point is that we have a Hispanic, we have a Latina superhero. So
oh God, I feel for Nery so much because again, a punchline did not land because of robot noises because he set it up perfectly and it didn't pay off. The one Mexican, I feel bad for you, Nery, the one Latino character getting killed by robot voice.
Right, number 3.
and the really heavy sigh from Nery comes in perfectly clear.
Of course.
Yeah. Clear.
The sigh is absolutely no signal loss. Number 3 for me was Prey.
Such a great movie.
Anybody higher?
That is also my number 3.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, Prey. What a great addition to the Predator lore.
Yes.
What a great addition to like filling in the gaps. Apparently there are Predator comics that I have not read that
oh my God, I'm sure
fill out the world. Yeah, there's the Predator comics apparently, which I only looked into after watching this movie because of like this was a great addition to it, and it was done really, really well. And I loved like this is a good example of a movie doing a lot of show and not tell, where everything kind of like Chekhov's gun, you know, that kind of like a concept of like everything they show pays off at some point. It was great, and the Predator monster was done like all of the showing how incredibly unstoppable it was, where it rips the fucking bear and all that stuff was just awesome. So when she does get the victory, it felt like super earned. You know, it felt like they explained the flower. Everything felt super, super solidly constructed, you know, super earned at the end.
Agreed. And what a great cast, you know, I think it's like the first time there's like a full Native American cast as the entire cast, pretty much.
Yeah, like it's supposed that's what was happening. They should have done it that way. Yeah.
Yes, it felt so authentic. It just felt it. For obviously Predator is not real, but it just felt very real.
Or is it?
What? But no, it felt very authentic. Was
it a historical documentary?
A good watch. Such a good watch.
Great. What a good time.
Yes,
watching this movie.
I mean, it scored a really, really high. It was like 90, like the high 90s or in the 90s on Rotten Tomato, and I felt like it didn't get a lot of buzz though. Like I felt
that's what bothers me is that this movie was greater than more people know about this movie. It bothers me that it didn't come to movie theaters, and what bothers me even more is that they were right to not put it in movie theaters because it would not have succeeded, because it didn't even succeed. You know what I mean? It didn't even on free streaming. Not enough people watched it. I believe more people should be talking about this movie, but I hate the fact that had they put this movie in theaters, people, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have gotten any attention but it should. It's so fucking good. I love this movie.
I think it'll be one of those that like didn't do well at release, but over time it's going to accrue by word of mouth. You know, like
I think because people have been burned by Predator movies before. Like people think of the Predator, and that's one of the problems with like genre movies is that people are like, oh, I don't watch horror movies, I don't watch Predator, I don't like the 80s. Like the problem is that remakes of things have were burnt. Like there's so much of like oh god, what do they say of like the reboot syndrome, like where everything has to be reboot. Like why is nobody making any new movies? Like no. This is how you want a reboot done, or this is how you want some IP to be used in a new property. It's original storytelling, and it's done in a different way.
It's not that all the Predators were ever, except for 1 to 2, and even that was super loose. Like the Predator movies have never been tied one to the other. They've all been pretty much standalone. But I actually like all the Predator movies.
I do. Like, I do too. I was gonna say a lot of people. The only ones that were the only ones that lean towards the cheesy side for me are like the Predator Alien movies. But I don't consider those to be Predator movies.
I mean, they're super cheesy, but that's the point. It's like that.
Yeah, but I don't consider those. Like, I don't consider those Predator movies. Those are like
no, they're not strictly Predator movies. Yeah, I mean,
right. Joe, I think I always say this. I'm like people are like, oh, the Predator movies, and like, but they're actually really good though. Each one on its own. I don't know why they just get this I just feel people feel a certain way about the franchise.
I think everybody compares it to the first one, and if it's not as good as the first one, then therefore it sucks. Which I'm like, they're all standalone.
Some of them have been better.
Not even sequels.
Yeah,
I just don't know how more people didn't see this. This movie was so great.
It was really great. Yeah, I mean,
I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, it was great. It's number 3 on my list.
Number 3 on my list as well, my friend. Hilda, number 3.
So my number 3 was The Woman King.
Oh my god! So I was literally just watching that movie today, like right now before we started the podcast, and I'm at 20 minutes left of the movie, and I really thought about putting it on the list. And the moment we started the episode, Mike is like, well, I had to have seen the movie. I go, well, I guess I can't really say that. Like it was from what I've seen, the 90% of the movie that I've seen, the 80% of the movie that I've seen is so good. Please don't ruin the end for me. I'm 20 minutes away from watching finishing this. But it's so good.
So
I'm at the point where she goes to get the captives. She leaves the camp to get the captives. That's where I'm at that point.
Okay. So, I won't. All right, I won't ruin it for you. Was it on anyone else's list? Is it higher? Is it tabled?
No. These are men.
No, I never saw. I didn't see it. I wanted to.
They don't care about us, Hilda.
I know. Well, I'm not going to ruin it for Nery, but what I will say is, and I mentioned this when we reviewed Salt too, but to see an entire group of female warriors, and they are fucking badass, like that to me was an instant draw into watching this movie. But I mean, Viola Davis she's great in it.
So good.
She's the draw.
Good.
She's the entire draw.
She's like, just
I barely know anything about this movie, but I know she's in it, and that's all that matters to me. I want to see
she's in the poster, but there's also a very talented cast. I mean, the supporting cast, and I don't know their names because they haven't been in a lot of things, but just because I don't know their names doesn't take away anything from their talent. Their talent is immense. There's a king played by
John Boyega.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stormtrooper number, but I forget the number.
John Boyega, yeah. So he plays King Gezu.
4-7 or something. No.
But it's also had. Did you guys see Matilda? No. It's got
the 90s one.
No, the new one. It's got Lashana Lynch is in it. She plays Izogi.
Oh my god,
she's fantastic in this.
So good.
And the girl playing Nawi is also really good. Who is?
I don't know anything about this movie.
It's so good.
Add it to your list. I don't want to say anything else because I really don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, don't please.
Yeah.
But the acting is phenomenal. The acting is phenomenal. I mean, it's really fucking good, man. I mean, the action is great and all, but I honestly, it really is good. I started watching it because of the shitty Wi-Fi. I wasn't able to finish this movie, but I started watching it literally. The movie's 2 hours and 3 minutes long, and I started watching it 2.5 hours before the episode, before we started recording, and I thought that would be enough time. But because the lag of there'll be times where the Wi-Fi wasn't cooperating, I wasn't able to finish it on time.
Yeah. So great. Really all right, that's all I'm going to say about the Woman King.
Yeah.
All right, Chad.
Mine
was the Doctor Strange. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah. That was your number 3. All right, Nery, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Prey. We talked about it.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Because of the table, yeah.
That's right.
That was number 3s.
We are moving along here.
So the number 3s are Prey, Woman King, Doc Strange 2, and Prey. You got to
number.
All right.
Number 2 for me. One of the best viewing experiences I've had in a while was RRR. Did anybody watch RRR?
I know about it, but I haven't seen it.
No, I don't even know about it. I've never heard of it.
Oh, it's an Indian action movie. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes, it's Bollywood, not Bollywood. There's another cultural group in it's another city in India, but they it's classic Indian cinema that it has everything. It's like the Stefan. It's like this movie has everything. It has a tiger fight, a glorified dance battle. It has male bonding and friendship, a love story. It has everything. All that. It's spoiler alert for my number 1. This movie is not titled Everything Everywhere All at Once, but it has everything everywhere all at once. This movie is. It's about these two it's a fictionalized dramatization, it's like a tall tale version of two very iconic figures in Indian history of the British rule and the native uprising that happens and becomes these two important figures. They're friends in the movie, and I don't know enough about Indian history to tell you if they're friends in real life, but they're based on real people. But they're friends and they unite the people. And one of them was a British soldier who then is hunting this guy who is a rebel and causes problems for the British government. And there's that super glorified Indian action, and then there's there's music and singing and dancing, and it was just from beginning to end just awesome. I had to watch it in 2 sittings because it is 3 hours long. So, but it was
one episode of Woobro back in 10 years ago.
Yeah. I could have split it up into 3 1-hour episodes as a mini series, that kind of thing. but it was worth every minute of watching, and the performances are great. It showed like non-toxic male masculinity, like these guys are friends and bonding, and they love each other, and it was just really like very, yeah, it was like worth every minute of it. It was like one of those things where you're like, man, I got anything I could have wanted was in this movie.
Everything.
Okay.
Awesome.
At once.
Everything all at once.
I know. I'm adding it to my checkout list.
Is it R, like literally RRR? Like the
RRR is what it's called.
Okay.
RRR. And it's on Netflix. And I don't know what eligibility it has for an Oscar, but best foreign film maybe, but it was bonkers good.
Everybody that everything I've ever seen about it has raved about this movie, and it's on my radar. But I just haven't seen it.
You have to be ready for what it is, though. The Indian Bollywood style movie. It's over the top and it's all crazy, but like in every way, not just So you have to like know what you're going into.
I'm aware. I've seen clips.
Awesome.
I've seen again. If you're, I follow them on Instagram. I follow their account on Instagram, and if they show you like 1 minute clips of the movie or whatever, and you're like, I'm in. Like this is good. Like this is.
Yeah.
Again, it's on my radar. I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't gone there, but I will.
Yeah. Really good.
All right, Hilda, number 2.
My number 2 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Oh, that was really good.
Oh wow.
Is this on anyone's radar?
No.
It was on my radar. And I've seen it.
What a beauty! I mean, as an artist, the level of work that must have gone into producing this piece of cinematic art. It's like one giant art project. I mean, the amount you're watching it, you almost forget it's stop motion. And then there are these segments that we watch separately of like the making of and whatnot. That's the craft, but the movie itself, what a beautiful take on Pinocchio. It touches on to some of the turmoil like in Italy at the time. It's like the 30s, and it's embroiled in fascism and all the stuff that's going on in Europe. But what a beautiful film. The visually alone, I could talk about just the visuals for forever. But I mean, the cast for the voicing, you got Ewan McGregor and Finn Wolfhard and Kate Blanchett and Tilda Swinton and Ron Perlman. And what an amazing ensemble. So
I got to see Guillermo del Toro speak before I moved away from New York, and we got to go see like this like retrospective of the life of work of Guillermo del Toro. So we got to see him speak, and he was talking, to promote Pinocchio. He was talking about it, and he was talking about like how every movie of his is a piece of him, and this movie is all about like fathers and sons, and like and just how like dark and scary the original Pinocchio was, and how people like the Disneyfication of like fables and lessons learned from them. Right. So when he was trying to make this movie, it was like, also he had to like fight Netflix and the producers to because like if a hand in stop motion, if a hand reaches for something and grabs it, that's like every second of frame is like a week of work.
Yeah.
So when he was like
Ben from Parks and Rec.
Exactly. Stand in the place where you live. He would have like hesitations, and the actors, so he credits the character animators as actor credits in the movie. Yeah. I don't know if you know, because they would have hesitations, and like they would have like that pause is an extra 2 weeks, an extra like month of work would go into someone being pensive. And they're like, no, we need that for the moment, for the character to work. My problem with it was that the voice of Pinocchio was so annoying to me that I genuinely could not continue to watch it.
Oh no!
I had to stop it, and I'm bummed about it. But my wife and I we love Guillermo del Toro. I asked Nery. I love Guillermo del Toro.
His films.
He's amazing.
And the whole time I was like,
Shape of Water and Pan's Labyrinth, and even Crimson Peak.
I never saw Pan's Labyrinth because I thought it was a horror movie.
Oh, I love
it. You need to see Pan's Labyrinth. It's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's got horror elements. But,
I've learned since that it's not a horror movie, but I just from the outside when it first came out, I was like, nope, eyeballs in your hands, get the fuck out of here. Not doing that
Oh,
shit.
that
Bye.
monster.
I love Anne hates that. My wife. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, Pinocchio. It was it's a shame because I'll tell you one thing of 2022 that I loved of Guillermo del Toro's that he produced was the Cabinet of Curiosities.
Oh
yeah,
yes,
that was good.
So fucking good.
Yes,
now,
those shorts.
All of these like single
yes.
He's Guillermo del Toro. I wish I would have liked this movie more, but the movie itself, I just could not get over the character, which I know Pinocchio is supposed to be annoying and childlike and foolish and learning lessons, but I was
learning,
just like, this kid's voice is driving me fucking crazy. That's the only reason it's not on my list. I couldn't.
Well,
otherwise, what it is important to me. You know, I love.
Yeah, I am sorry it didn't make your list then, but no, I loved it, and I was like, this is gonna be my number 2.
So I haven't seen this version of Pinocchio, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't see any version of Pinocchio in its entirety, including the Disney Pinocchio, until like 2 years ago.
Wow!
And I remember watching
Pinocchio.
I remember watching Pinocchio, the Disney version, 2 years ago as a grown 40-year-old man, and looking at my wife, be like, "This movie is amazing. Have you fucking?" And she's like, "The Disney Pinocchio." I'm like, "Yeah, it's fucking awesome. It's so good." And she's like, "What? How old are you? Like, are you seen this movie? Why haven't you not seen this movie?" And
it's heavy. It's dark. It's good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's very good. It immediately made my Mount Rushmore of Disney movies. I was like, I'm putting Pinocchio up in this bitch. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, but I haven't seen this.
Great number 2. Great number 2, though. I mean, it deserves. If I can see it being worth that.
Yeah.
Again,
keep that in mind when you hear my number 2.
For all those reasons, right? Because it's you appreciate the work that goes into these movies too, and it's so easy to think about these huge CGI cinematic, which also take a lot of work on the creative team, right?
Yeah.
But stop.
The reason why post-production takes 2 years now.
Exactly. Stop motion is just one of those. It's one of those art forms that maybe we don't see a lot, but then when we see something new, we're reminded of just how much work goes into producing these films.
Yeah. There's a bit with after Nightmare Before Christmas where stop motion was back in vogue, and then it definitely died out for a long time.
Yeah. So that's my number 2.
Good number 2, Chad.
The Batman.
Go on. Apparently, it's not terrible.
Well, I know Hilda as well. Right?
It was my number 10. Yeah, I had it on my list.
So I love this one. Definitely not my favorite Batman, but it is way up there. Like I thought it was going to be like, oh, it's Twilight Kid, and he's going to do okay, whatever, because I do like Twilight. But man, he did such a good job with just the whole Bruce Wayne / he's not really Bruce Wayne anymore. He's like Bruce Wayne's the Mask concept. What's his name? God, the guy who played Penguin, but he's been a million others.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. You can barely see him. Like, it doesn't even look like Colin Farrell. But
he's doing young De Niro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Paul Dano is Riddler.
Yep, they did such a good job. It was funny because right before we saw this, my mom was like, "Oh, you should bring Brandon," because my son was like 7, and I'm like, "No, this is not that Batman."
Yeah, it was a heavy Batman. I'm super glad that they're keeping this version of the Batman in the DCEU because they're calling it Elseworlds, which is like, of course, a perfect way to include it because it's the multiversal approach of DC, so that they could have these stories. But like, I genuinely liked this Batman more than the Dark Knight Batman. Like, I like this version of Batman.
I think I like this version of Batman, but the story I like Dark Knight better. But that's Heath Ledger knocks Joker out of the park. So
exactly, there's a million. It's like comparing Kobe to Jordan. Like you can't LeBron to Jordan. You can't really do it over the eras because they're completely different. In when they came out and what it meant for movies. But the Batman being able to stand out from all the DC bullshit that's going on was because of it, because it's so good, because it was this dark detective film noir story.
Yeah, I love that they actually show Batman doing detective work, at least, to a degree, because there's always supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and half the time he's just hitting people in most movies.
The contact lens cameras that he uses to record everything, and that being the Bat computer, was great. I loved that.
There's some company out there already producing those. They're like, did you see the camera contact lenses? And they're like, that.
I was say they've been working on that for a while, because I've seen camera contact lenses in the past. Because I wear contacts, so I'm always like, bring me the next version. Like, I want zooming capability. Come on.
Yes, zooming contacts. Absolutely, I want that. Absolutely.
So, like, tap the side of my head and they like.
Yeah, so whatever.
No, this was on my list too. This was, I went in not really knowing if I was going to like it or not. I'm like, this could go either way. But I have enjoyed Robert Pattinson in a couple of movies. I know like a lot of people did not like Remember Me, but that's a movie where I enjoyed his performance in that. That one came out a long time ago. But yeah, so I didn't know how I'd feel about him as the Batman, but I enjoyed him as the Batman. I enjoyed the dark noir feel of this Batman. I really liked that. It felt like a darker comic. I don't know. I liked the vibe. I liked the story. I thought he did great. I thought he, for me, was either going to be a love it or it's just going to kill it for me. Like, I'm just going to love it or not, or love it or hate it. But was really surprised. So that's why I put it on my list.
Yeah, and I thought, God, I always forget this guy's name. He's been in a ton of stuff in the last couple of years, or last 5 or 6 years, I guess now. Gordon, the guy who played Gordon. He does a great job.
He was
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. He was in Westworld.
Westworld
he's great.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the Watcher, Uatu the Watcher in What If. Yeah, he's fantastic. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he did such a good job with like bringing in like how Batman would work in like the police station and all that shit. Because like you see him when Batman's walking across all those cops, like half of them are just aching to jump on him.
Yeah, beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Jeffrey Wright movies. Did you guys ever see Cadillac Records?
No.
Oh my God. Cadillac Records is fantastic. And he plays Muddy Waters. I don't know if you guys are blues fans.
Yeah.
But he plays Muddy Waters in that. And that's just that movie too. I'm putting that one on our movie bros list. Okay. That movie is fantastic. The cast is great. Mos Def is in it. Adrian Brody's in it. Oh my God, Gabrielle Union's in it. God, I think it's Idris Elba too. I mean, it's that's a solid cast, great movie. But yeah, Jeffrey Wright, he stands out. He's the standout in that movie.
This is a worthy number 2. The Batman is a worthy number 2 because it was fucking great.
Yeah, every time I go back and watch it, I like it that much more.
I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I like everything you guys said about it, and I agree with everything you guys said about it for the most part. There's so many parts and things I like about this movie. As a whole, it just for whatever reason did not resonate with me. It didn't. It's so weird. I equate it very much to the latest Spider-Man installment, where there were so many good things, but for some reason it just didn't click for me. And I can't. I have spent the better part of a year trying to figure out why I didn't like this movie. I'm a DC fanboy, self-proclaimed DC fanboy. I'm even before they announced the whole Elseworlds thing, I was always on board with them making a different Batman. Like they have different Batman comic books running at the same time, running different stories. I don't see that every movie needs to be connected. So I was always defending that decision even before the movie came out. And then this movie came out, and I was just, the cinematography is beautiful. The acting is pretty well done. I'm not a fan of his Bruce Wayne. I like his Bruce Wayne, but other than that, just everything. I like everything about this movie. It didn't resonate with me. It just didn't click for me. And
it didn't come together for you.
It didn't come together for me. I would never say it's not a good movie because I believe it's a very well-made movie, and I think if People ask me, "Is it good?" I'll say yes, and people, "Oh, so you liked it?" No, and that's very weird for me because it's normally not the case for me. Normally, I'm the other way around. I'm like, look, it's not a good movie, but I love it. And this was a case of like I could acknowledge that it's a very good movie. I just don't like it. It didn't click for me. It didn't come together. I don't know why. I spent months dissecting it, and I've watched it on multiple occasions, trying to figure out why I didn't like it, and it just didn't. It just didn't come together. So
there's a lot of movies that I watched last year that are like that. Like, oh, this movie's great. Did you like it? No. There's a lot of that, you know, and that's why a bunch of movies that you guys have mentioned didn't make my list. Where I'm like, yeah, that's a great movie. It's great. Did you enjoy it? No. You know, I enjoyed other things more. You know,
I wish I would have had Chad's mom with me when I decided to take my children to watch this movie, because because
they scared the shit out of your kids.
Yeah, I'm literally there taking my kids to watch the movie, and there's like a guy getting bludgeoned to death on screen within the first 5 minutes.
Carpet hammer,
and I'm like, literally covering my then 7-year-old son's eyes. I'm like, oh shit, this is not.
I could tell from the preview, like they were casting the Riddler as a serial killer. I mean, obviously it was a little bit more than that, but like they were definitely going with the really dark version. And I'm like, I'm not taking my son to this. This is a little bit too much for his age.
Great number 2.
Not that Batman '89 wasn't. I saw Batman '89 when I was like whatever 9 years old.
Exactly. Yeah,
that was probably too much for a 9-year-old to see as well. But you know, hey.
And Batman Returns, when Michelle Pfeiffer does the kiss with fucking Christopher Walken and like electrocutes him, it's like as a child, I'm just like, well, that image is gonna stick around for a while. That one's good. Good number 2. Nery, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is on the same level as the number 2s that we've talked about, where there's really good reasons why they're on there. Is Black Panther, not Black Adam. So my number 2 is Black Adam.
You stepped on your own thing.
Well, yeah, no, I just laugh because I know Mike's movie, but I really, you know, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine recently. When Mike and I did the movie Bros for Black Adam, I remember Mike saying to me, "Hey, is this movie, is it deserving of the hate that it got?" And I was like, "I don't," and I was like, "I'm like, from the critics." And I'm like audience review was at 90% at that time. The time and him and I talked about it, and he was shocked. Mike, I remember Mike being like, "What the fuck, 90%?" And I just didn't understand. So after that moment, again, like what you said, like I said, you know, earlier, Mike, you said about Doctor Strange 2. You're like, "Oh, a lot of people didn't like it," and I'm like, "Really?" Like I didn't know, because I don't go into movies knowing any of that kind of backstory. So I just judge the movie based upon whether I like it or not. So oftentimes I'll hear, after I find out that I love a movie, I'll hear that I got shitted on, and vice versa. Like, "Oh, really? People liked it? I thought people wouldn't like it." And it's whatever. My whole point is to say I rewatched Black Adam yet again this past weekend. And yet again, I'm texting, my friend and I are texting each other, and I'm like, how the fuck do people not like this? I just could not understand what people didn't like. I love it.
Because it's trash. This movie is...
No, I'm kidding.
I fucking love this movie. And I literally, I was texting my friend, I was like, I'll die in the hill. There's some movies that I just said it recently. I just said it right now. I was like, there's some movies where I was like, the movie's not good, but I love it. I don't think this is that. I'm like, no, this movie's really fun. Like, I'm confused as to why it didn't make more money. Again, critics, Rotten Tomato scores by the viewers are still really high. So I don't, but I love this fucking movie. Everything about this movie was great. I thought it was great. Fun. I love the characters.
I can't believe it came out last year. It feels like it came out so much longer ago. Like, because of all of the bullshit around DC, it feels like it was like such a long time.
It's been a lot. A lot's happened in a short period of time for DC.
Yeah, that was just
supposed to come out like a decade ago.
Yeah, The Rock has been promoting Black Adam since like the first Batman movie came out.
Yeah, that was our Nery. That was our premiere. That was a premiere episode of Movie Bros. Was Black Adam and Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Coming full circle.
When you think Black Adam, you think Back to the Future Part 2.
Absolutely.
Of course. Really. Like, those two things make sense.
Black Adam was, in my opinion, if Black Adam had come out when it was supposed to come out, it would have been groundbreaking. It would have been great. like if we did not have a variety of other superheroes that are exactly like Black Adam, and or there's like that it's not connected to the Shazam movie in any way, maybe
Which
was
is ridiculous.
It's just so confusing to me. My problem with Black Adam is The Rock. Like The Rock plays The Rock in every movie, and The Rock cannot have any flaws in any of his character. Like the whole movie, I was like, he's the equivalent of like the Mary Sue complaints that people give to like Ray from the Star Wars movies, where like, oh, so this motherfucker's perfect and has zero vulnerabilities. He doesn't even have kryptonite. All he has is to say is Shazam, and he turns into like a weak man. And he still looks like a decent enough shaped guy to be like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like the whole point of the Black Adam movie to me that did not land was it was caught up in all of the bullshit. Had it come out when it was supposed to, maybe we would be talking about it differently. I don't know. Like maybe I would have enjoyed it.
I don't agree with any of that. I feel that Shazam is a highly flawed character. His whole fucking thing is that he's not worthy, that he wasn't worthy, and that his son was a worthy one. I mean, I don't agree with anything of what you said now, but I get it's your opinion. I'm not shitting on your opinion. It's your opinion.
I'm talking about not the character. I'm talking about The Rock. The Rock doesn't lose.
Well, he does though. But he does. I've said this about Missy. Like Missy's a huge fan of Melissa McCarthy, for example. And there's nothing that Melissa McCarthy has ever made that she has not purchased because she's that much of a supporter, which is good to have if you're an entertainer. You want to have people that support you no matter what. I'm not that guy. I am a huge fan of The Rock. I think anybody who's ever heard me on any podcast knows that about me already. There are plenty of movies that I have not only have I not watched, but there's movies that I have watched and have never and will never purchase. I'm not one of those guys I'm not a what is it called? Simp, whatever it's called. I'm one of those guys that are like, I love The Rock. I've never watched Doom.
I thought you should totally watch Doom.
I thought Baywatch, and I'm never gonna buy it. I watched it, but I'm never gonna buy it. So there's a lot of movies that I'm like, this movie's stupid. This movie's like whatever, blah blah. It doesn't take away from my love for The Rock, but I don't agree with the statement of that he's flawless because most of the times I don't, again, going back to Black Adam, I don't want to take up more time. I just love Black Adam. It was a superhero. It was everything that I want in a superhero movie. It was great. It was fucking great. Tell him the Man in Black sent you. That whole joke landed perfectly for me.
I did like the Justice Society character. Like I liked, like those like
Cyclone. It gave us characters that we weren't used to. Cyclone and I thought it was great, man. Adam.
The Justice League to me is always. I know it's not that for everybody if it was even meant to be this, but Justice League to me has always been like a platform for introducing random wacky characters that you like never see except in one or two storybooks. Like the Justice League from the 90s, the cartoon, introduced me to so many characters that I never had heard of.
The Question,
the Question, the Spectre, all these guys that I never heard of.
And they're all super interesting. Yeah, no, I can't wait for that Booster Gold movie. But the idea that they had all these characters that were so interesting and we did not get enough about them. Like I wanted more of Atom Smasher. I wanted more of Dr. Fate. I wanted more of like Cyclone. And the fact, and Dr. Fate and Hawkman's origins are super closely tied together. In ancient Egypt with Black Adam, and none of that kind of came into it. And I was just like, this feels like a missed opportunity. It had all the pieces, like the same way Batman didn't come together for you. This movie did not come together for me. The whole time I was like, why are they not doing this other thing?
So Mike, you and I talked about this in private before, that you watch it's very like when you explain to me how you watch a movie, like your mindset in the movie, it's your mind. It's fine. It's very different than what like you were watching it with how is this gonna like you told me that as you were watching Black Adam, you were thinking of how is this going to fit into the bigger DCU picture.
Yeah.
And I don't think about any of that. I just watched the movie that I'm given. I don't that doesn't play into my mind.
Yeah.
Even afterwards, I'm like, I can't wait for part 2. And that's where as far as my mind goes into how this connects or fits. I don't care about it. I'm like, I hope I can't wait for part 2. That's where
we watch it differently.
Yeah, the big thing that bothered me about Black Adam was, and they do portray him as a bad guy, sorta, but they're always trying to paint him like a semi-good anti-hero, and I'm like, Black Adam was never even close to an anti-hero. He was mad, fucking crazy from the start.
He should have been a Shazam villain.
Right, he should have been a Shazam villain.
But here's the thing. And this is what I will say.
Main villain.
They could have taken the exact same story and made it a Shazam story as opposed to making it its own thing. But I think because The Rock is The Rock, and that's what came out as the part that he was like, I'm never playing. I don't want to play second. He didn't want to be supporting to anybody. The lead, he wanted to be the lead of the Black Adam movie, which should have never come. You know, you know what I mean? Like it should have been a Shazam introduces Black Adam, then you can tell the Black Adam story.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's the thing that I think DC has gotten completely wrong across the board. They keep trying to shove everything out there as much as possible without doing any of the buildup that Marvel, what makes Marvel amazing.
Yeah.
And
even then, Marvel is fucking up on that too.
Right. No, lately that Marvel has been fucking that up, but yeah. They did such a good job. Like
this is a very personal number 2 for you, Nery, and I understand it. And I'm not going to take anything away. It's on your list and on your mountain, as we say. It's your mountain. Everybody, you got your mountain, my mountain. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. I mean, look, you loved that movie from the beginning, and I commend you for not changing your position in light of the reality that it's
one of those things. But it's one of those things where I just and I'm off. Like I said, I told my friend I was watching it yet again this weekend. I was telling my friend, I'm like, I just don't get it. Like I'm fully aware that I like movies that I'm like, yeah, people hate this. I get it. People are gonna hate this fucking movie. You know, I could list off. I like Thor 2.
Yeah,
fully aware of that movie. I get it.
I
like Thor 2, and
I love Thor 2.
like Thor Part 2, not Thor as well. I like Thor Part 2. And fully aware that people hated that movie with visceral, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. You don't like it, I get it, but but this isn't one of them. Anyways, so my number 2 is Black Adam 2.
I really enjoyed Black Adam. I mean, it was in my runner-ups. You know, it didn't make
definitely on my list. Yeah, it didn't make
I did. I enjoyed it. You know, Nery and I covered this when we did that episode. But I went in not knowing. I did not know a lot about this character at all. But watching it through that lens, I really enjoyed the movie. So
usually the best way to enjoy it. It feels like knowing too much actually weighs you down.
That was a new to me. That was a new to me superhero. You know, I had like randomly heard the name, but I knew nothing about him. And as I enjoyed the movie through that lens.
I mean, I purposely because I read Hilda and I talked about this in that episode. Like I read comics as a kid, but I didn't read a lot of them. My variety wasn't like I just didn't have the money for it, and so whenever like Guardians of the Galaxy the movie was coming out, I remember people were like, "Oh, you should read up on it," and I'm like, "No, I don't know anything about it. I'll just watch the movie, just take what they give me." Same thing goes for any of these movies where I may just superhero movie, and I love superheroes. Doesn't mean that I know about them. I know about every single one of them. So I was just like, give me the movie. Like I think that's what makes me. That's what allows me to like the new Star Wars trilogy, is because I didn't grow up being a Star Wars fan. So to me, the new trilogy was just, you know what I mean? Like I very much enjoyed the new trilogy, where somebody like Chad, I could see him grinding his teeth just at the sheer mention of the new trilogy, and I was like, but I get it. That makes sense.
I'm torn feelings.
Chad and I are going to do a very specific episode of Movie Bros for Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't like Star Wars at all. You know,
it's gonna be called "Fuck Ryan Johnson."
Yeah, there you go.
We had stormtrooper helmets at our wedding as like our sign-in gift.
Oh, there you go.
So
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
We anyway,
Hilda whipping out. Hilda whipping out her nerd, like just like look at this fucking measurement, huh?
I was like, oh, you guys got T-shirts? I had helmets as my guest book, sign-in book at my wedding.
my Boba Fett helmet is over there somewhere. That
my lightsaber are just out of reach.
Anyway, I mean we've spent enough. Number 2. Well, should we do an honorable mention like breakdown?
I think we've done it already. Unless you have something
I will say for my close list there's a lot of movies that I loved, but I didn't put on the list. but there's that are like Hocus Pocus 2, super fun. Enola Holmes 2 came out, and I watched it. It's super fun. There's a movie called Amsterdam. There's a movie called I watched Glass Onion. That was great. The Adam Project. Did anybody watch the Adam Project? The Ryan Reynolds.
It's on my list.
Great.
That was a better movie than The Gray Man. That was a better movie than The Gray Man.
I loved. Look, hey, I'm not gonna say this. I watched Downton Abbey: A New Era, the one where they go to France. I loved it. The Secrets of Dumbledore. Did not love it. Lots of The Lost City with Sandra Bullock, and then Brad Pitt is in it. Was super enjoyable.
Romancing the Stone Part 2.
Romancing the Stone reboot. There was a lot of movies that came out that were just like fucking fun, and they're not going to get any mention in any awards or anything like that. But Jackass Forever, that was super. Yeah,
I hate Jackass.
I mean, look, but I was saying is that Nope. No one's mentioned Nope at all.
Yeah,
Nope was on my runner-up list. I got a few here, but Nope was on my runner-up list. I loved Stevie Wentz and that.
Great stuff.
What's on your runner-up list? Just go through them.
Well, other ones that were not mentioned because I don't want to like take too much time, but Matilda was on my runner-up list. I thought that was great. Well, you just mentioned Glass.
Glass Onion. We talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. And The Pale Blue Eye was also on my list. I don't know if you guys saw that one.
I haven't, but I want to. I saw the preview for that the other day.
Yeah. It's a murder mystery.
Cool.
Spoiler alert! If you can't tell by the title, I don't know if you're Edgar Allan Poe fans, but there's a character who's like a young cadet who ends up growing up to be Edgar Allan Poe, but it's that one was good, and some others, but we've mentioned them throughout the episode, so we'll skip Chad.
So Beast, which I know we did recently, was really good. That was on my like top 20, I guess it would have been when I was narrowing stuff down. What's another good one? Oh, The Invitation. The
Invitation is also on my Invitation was there, yeah.
And then I guess the last one I'll say is the Jurassic Park Dominion.
Oh,
out of all time.
I had Sing 2, Sonic 2, The Invitation, Lightyear was really fucking fun, and Super Pets and Ambulance.
Ambulance. That's the Jake Gyllenhaal one.
Yeah, the Jake Gyllenhaal one. Yeah,
I didn't see it.
Oh, the Super Pets one I saw. Yeah, it just hit me what you were saying. DC Super Pets.
I have a friend who saw Super Pets recently, and he was like, "That's the best movie DC's ever made." And I'm like, "It's really good. It's really good." But DC animation has never not been on point. Like DC animation is always.
DC animation is doing everything. Most of the time, does everything right that DC movies does wrong.
But you know why, bro? You know why I believe that? Again, this is getting into without her. I believe people have been brainwashed into believing that everything has to fucking bleed into everything else. Everything has to be a connected universe. It doesn't. It really fucking doesn't. We've been
the DC animation doesn't do that.
Exactly.
The DC animation does like standalone.
Yes and no.
Exactly.
There are definitely standalone ones, but for a while, when the New 52 came out, there's like 10 movies, 10 animated movies or so that definitely all tied together. But yes, they do a ton of like the long Halloween, the Dark Knight. Yeah, I think you can do both. You can do both.
We can do both, and I think, but because the live action, I think Marvel did an amazing job. Infinity Stone with the Infinity Saga. I think everybody's like, well, now you have to do it that way. I'm like, but you really don't. And I'm saying this to DC themselves as well. I'm saying this to DC themselves. They think that everything has to be connected. I'm like, it really.
It made them money. It made Marvel fucking billions of dollars. They want billions of dollars. It has nothing to do with storytelling or art. Warner Brothers wants fucking money.
Yeah, but they don't want to do the work to get it, which is the point.
Exactly,
which is part of the problem.
Anyway, again, tune into Movie Bros for deep insightful conversations about.
We need that and Star Wars. Mike, we got 2 episodes already.
Mike, what's your number one?
Number one is Everything Everywhere All at Once. I No table. No one else is number one.
No?
It's not my number one. It was on. I had it as my number 8.
Yes, this movie.
It was on my list.
I had no idea going into it what I had no idea what I was getting into, and I was blown away. I was laughing. It was emotional. There's a scene with 2 rocks that got me emotional. Like what is happening that I'm like connected to these 2 rocks on an emotional level, and like it was super fun. Jamie Lee Curtis was great as all the things she was. Fucking Key. How do you say his name? Ki Tran.
Ki Kwan.
He was amazing in it. Like as multiple versions, like all of the multiversal stuff that we got in Doctor Strange 2, I thought was like, what a great way to use the science fiction plot device to tell like a real personal story about like a mother and a daughter, like really, really so much action. The cinematography was amazing. Like it was just one of the best acted and constructed movies that I've seen in recent memory. It was just so good. Like impresionante. Like it left a fucking impression, impactful.
I went in the same way. I hadn't really seen much about it. We randomly were like, let's go see a movie. Like right now, what's playing right now? And it was playing. We're like, okay, let's go. And to find myself watching a movie where equally I was saying, what the fuck? So much at the same time as watching this really endearing, heartwarming kind of underlying story also happening in the middle of all this weird, chaotic craziness that's happening. I'm like, how are these 2 things even balancing in this? And there are, because there's that underlying storyline with the daughter, and and it's like there's a generational shift, and there's a cultural shift, and there's identity, and there's just all these layers in this sci-fi movie that has all of these weird, like you're saying, Mike, just all these weird scenarios happening, and I'm just like, literally everything happening all at once.
The universe with the hot dog fingers the touch. Like, okay, so that sounds stupid. And then there's telling like an unflinching romantic story between these 2 women that have hot dog fingers and are playing the piano with their feet. And you're just like, and then you're still emotionally invested. Right. Even though all that weird shit is happening.
Right.
The whole fight where the guy's trying to jump onto the butt plug, my wife and I were losing it laughing. It was so fucking just so absurd and crazy, but it did not take away from the fact of the story. Because it was like so bad. It was like everything was balanced perfectly where you're like, this is fucking crazy, but not enough to pull me out of it,
Right. And you're still invested in this, just all these underlying, very heartwarming stories that they're telling in these completely absurd scenarios.
Yeah. I'm super happy that everybody who is nominated for their awards are nominated. It was so refreshing also to see something that wasn't IP of something else. It was original movie. Like it just came out of nowhere. There's A24 people, independent,
Love A24.
And it got this. I'm so glad it got attention, because also like when stuff like this happens, people are more willing to more willing to throw money at other ideas that are like we're talking about, like the comic, the superhero fatigue and all that stuff. To a certain extent, like everybody's got it a little bit. Even the people making the superhero movies are like, I'm tired. Let's make it a different kind of movie than a superhero movie. And I'm like, yeah, fine. Just be creative. And this was like a perfect example of it paying off. And I'm so happy it did. And the fight choreography was fucking great. So I loved it.
Yeah. Great pick.
Yeah. Okay. Chad. I'm sorry.
No, Hilda.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So my number 1 movie is Top Gun Maverick.
Same.
Thomas.
Same.
I'm assuming I'm not the only one.
All three of you did Top Gun Maverick as number 1. Okay. I will mute my microphone and go.
That's fine.
I'm guessing you didn't like it.
No, I loved it. But you 3 are like since
It's on his
we
list.
did it,
He had it. Like,
it's on my list. I had it at number 5. So I'm just saying that you guys, I'm fully aware it was a great movie, but you guys are obsessed with this movie. You guys love it so much, and justifiable. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I think for me, it's hard with sequels, right? So to do a
really
sequel,
is. Here's the thing. That
wait.
phrase is said all the time, like, "Oh, sequels aren't really good." I'm
wait.
like, there's a lot of sequels that are really good. I think there's a lot of sequels that are really bad, but I think it's just like any movie. There's movies that are really good and movies that are really bad as far as the original, like part ones. But same thing goes for part twos. I think people are often it's an overused statement where like sequels are for the most part trash, and like they're not though. I think there's a good amount of sequels that people just forget they're sequels.
Right, and that's actually exactly what I was about to say, Nery, is that I know it's a sequel, and I know that it was done decades later, and I know we covered this in the episode. However, waiting that long was perfect for this because of the way they wove it into the story, because these couple of main characters are so much older, because we're introduced to this mystery love that he's had off and on for decades, in Penny Benjamin. You get this sense of decades have passed and lives have been lived, ended, uprooted. Just the way this entire sequel played out, the storyline in the sequel, I thought was a really great way to tackle it. And the storyline surprised me a lot more than what I expected going into it. I was like, okay, they're going to do a Top Gun 2, right? Like, okay, how deep are they going to get? But I was surprised when you think about these characters, how deep it got, right?
Yep.
Like Goose's son, it's like, where's all this hate coming from? And then you're finding out, oh, like he totally like shelved his career for years. Like, yeah, I'd be mad too, and all these other layers going on aside from that main storyline, which yes, is like, it's like an action plot and it's this whole thing, but there's all these other layers to the other characters too. That was
Iceman, the whole Iceman,
right? With Iceman, I mean. And then that whole, you guys, it's no secret, but like I'm a sucker for this like nostalgia into these like 80s movies. And so for me, it played into that. Nah, what? Hilda loves 80s movies? Nah. But it did. So I for all those reasons and for many more, like Miles Teller's Shimmy on the Beach, which I'm gonna mention. But
you mean Young Sean? I'm in.
Yeah,
all right.
Little Sean. But no,
that was a callback joke to the episode of Movie Bros that we did on the Top Gun 2.
Go back and watch episode whatever episode that is. No, but this was my number one, which had you told me last year before I went to see Top Gun Maverick that it would be my number one, I'd be like, yeah, right, maybe number like 7. But no, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, same. I actually didn't go see it in the theater because I was so hesitant. Because I love the first movie so, like, it's one of my favorite childhood, like, that I grew up watching, and it got me this close to joining the Air Force until my eyes went bad, kind of thing. Even though I know it was a Navy commercial, but I would rather be in the Air Force. Anyway, all of it was really good. I like that they aged the characters. Obviously, they didn't try to make Maverick, still like in his late 20s, early 30s, or whatever. That they did show he's lived a life and how his antics keep getting his ass busted down, and that's why he can't get anywhere. And it's kind of like just
intentionally though, he doesn't want to be grounded.
Right. Well, he doesn't want to be grounded, but it's like half that and half he keeps pulling wild stunts that the brass don't approve and all this shit. So, but that's what he's always been, right? He's been the Maverick. But yeah, I like the Goose's son's character and how, just this is the guy that basically may or may not have killed your dad, and then he's fucking with your career to boot. Yeah, I can imagine he would be very upset. And then the whole action scene, the fact that they flew an F-14 trying to fight an F generational thing. I'm like, all right, okay. But it was it was fun. Like I just like you said though, if you had told me this was gonna be my number one pick, I never would have thought so. But I've watched it just since I watched it for the I don't know 2 or 3 months ago. I watched it at least 4 or 5 times since, and just it gets me every time.
Yeah, I love this movie. So full disclosure, I love the original Top Gun, but I don't think it's a good movie. But I fully love Top Gun, the original. But it's just not. It's just like one long '80s video. It's like just like the whole way. But I love it. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like the whole volleyball scene. Like there's all these scenes where you're just like, what the fuck? This has nothing to do with story. But it's just like in part 2, they just. I feel like Top Gun Maverick was a better movie in every sense of the word. The story was better. The action was better. The acting was better. Everything's just done better. The action. The fact that I personally very much enjoyed the fact that they got out of the fucking plane, right? Like that we had an action movie that wasn't just in the plane. And I
You
know
talking about the sequence at the end
needed.
that was
yeah. And I know it's not needed because it's a movie about planes, and you get it. And so if they didn't give us that, like part 1 didn't, you're fine with it. You're like, yeah, the movie takes place. But when we got both, I think was just great. It was a great decision
I liked it.
to get the plane before they could put them back in the plane. But just I thought it was fucking dope. It was great on all counts.
Well, the ending that shows them as like, so the nostalgia bomb that is to get Maverick behind the stick of a F-14 Tomcat was the exclamation, ending the sentence with an exclamation point rather than you know what I mean, like oh, he saves them and then they fly away. It's like no, get this motherfucker back behind one of these old ass planes that doesn't fly anymore, and they're gonna and it was like that how it got to that moment made it as good a movie as I think. Like all of the nostalgia stuff and the story was good and all stuff, but it didn't really come together for me as like holy shit until the end, until that moment of like, because I expected, he sacrificed himself and now that's the end of the movie, Goose goes on and names his kid Maverick or what, like the like that kind of thing. But no, when they show that Miles Teller's character comes back and shoots the helicopter down, and then all of a sudden now it was like the whole thing of like, I did that to save you and now you're here and all this that layer
what were you thinking?
Yeah.
That continuation.
Like, are you okay? What are you thinking?
What do you think?
That made the movie. That's where everything kind of like congealed for me, and everything kind of came together. And I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking great. This is more than just a nostalgia movie. It wasn't until that moment at the end though, where I was like, I don't know. I was like, this is good. This is good. And then at the end, I was like, oh, this is great. That's what made it great for me.
I don't know, man. I the whole movie from the beginning, I remember even thinking, oh, they're gonna give us the theme song at the end. Like I thought going into the movie, I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. I know the beats of the movie. They're gonna give us the
Danger
theme
Zone
song at the Danger Zone at the end of the movie, right? And they did it. They fucking opened with it. I'm like, oh shit, you guys have the balls on you guys. Look at you guys coming out with fucking blazing with this. And I thought it was really good, man. I really much enjoyed it. I loved, because as I'm watching, there's certain things that I'm watching, and like I remember the end where he said something, thank you for coming back for me or whatever. I thought they were gonna recycle the line of "You could be my wingman any day." I thought they were gonna recycle that line because it would have been a moment for it. But what he said was so much better, and that's what Dad would have done. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh my. And it just, to me, just encapsulated everything. I'm like, fucking bravo.
There were so many
fine writing and great writing. Like there
were so many tug at your heartstring moments.
Yeah,
I didn't expect to be in there.
Yeah,
in the subtle little lines, like not even like long dialogues, but just like in these little subtle moments. And there were a lot of little heartwarming moments like that. Nery, I'll agree with you. I Nery, I agree with you. Like I liked Top Gun, the original. Was it one of those movies that I'm like, oh, Top Gun's on, I'm gonna watch it? Like, no, like it wasn't one of those movies for me. I do enjoy it though. Like it was an 80s movie that I liked.
Yeah.
But I'll agree with you. I thought the way this one kind of like helped to evolve the storyline from the first one.
Yeah.
I think it's a much better movie.
I give all credit to Tom Cruise because he's been saying that for 30 years. They've been asking him to do a sequel, and he says when I get the right script. So kudos to him as a filmmaker. Kudos to him as a filmmaker because he could have very easily been like, yeah, give me more money, like I'll just do it for the money. But he was like, no, as a filmmaker, I want this one to be better, and he fucking nailed it, man. Nailed it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Not that he was a writer. I'm just saying that he waited for the right script to
yeah, but they were gonna do Top Gun 2 without him, so you know.
Right. Yeah, he said no for like decades on this,
exactly.
and I think it was the right move, 100% the right move.
Yeah. All right, so that's our number one, and our number ones was Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and then Top Gun.
Yep.
Good
combo.
Both nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, so
there you go.
We're on to something, guys. We're on to something.
I would love for Top Gun 2 to win. I would just love for it to win an actual just give it to
like a big fuck you to all the auteur filmmakers.
Yeah, all the fucking
that would be amazing.
The fans of the artist and the penis and like, oh really? I'll fucking blow shit up, motherfucker. Give me an Oscar.
Yeah.
I just want that.
Just give Michael Bay a fucking Best Directing Oscar.
Oh, that'd be
oh shit! Can you imagine? But it has to be like they
might
always
actually
can only do
it. Yeah, I'd say that could be the only thing that would make me want to watch the Oscars if they get off their fucking high.
I would love to see that, but they could only give him the Oscar at a certain hour of the day, where it's like the lighting needs to be spectacular. It has to be magic hour.
Right. Yeah. The camera has to be moving.
Yeah, it has to be moving.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Anyway.
Thank you guys for checking out the podcast. Check out other episodes of Movie Bros. We've talked a lot about these movies. We try to get a new movie or a newish movie and then mix it with older movies, and we do 2 reviews in each episode. So make sure you guys go check that out. Check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bros Network that are included but are not limited to Child Like a Best with Mike Valdez, the What's Up Bro podcast that Mike is kind of pointing at, and Cramacopia, Shiver, the horror movie podcast, and Mike and I are gonna come back with Kick Flicks with Jeff. We're just scheduling is so fucking crazy, man. Life is crazy. Go to geekbro.net, check out the other podcast. Thank you guys for being on. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for listening to us. Love you guys. That's how winning is done.